my beard. So here we are, kicking off season 4, episode 401.
I like that.
I like that. That works. With our good friends, the guru of the suds, Mr. Jeff Stay.
Hello.
And introducing to our show now, Gentry Mad Dog Lee. I like that. So I'm guessing the Mad Dog's got a story behind it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Long story. I came up with it 30 minutes ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's got a history of bar fights. I mean, this guy.
Is that what it is?
Bar fights, ill-advised stock trades. It's just the gamut.
I need some advice. We'll talk.
No, we won't talk to him.
No, you might want to talk to him. Might be
Bad
good.
Advice?
Well, bad advice is better.
Oh,
than
then
no
you know what
advice
to avoid.
sometimes.
So, yeah.
True. Good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I can ruin your life in like 5 minutes. It's amazing.
So thanks for coming on, guys. We appreciate it. We're kicking off kind of our music series here. So, you know, we've done some shows with you guys in the past playing music, so it's been a lot of fun. And we thought it'd be interesting to have you guys on, talk a little bit about, you know, what got you started as musicians, you know, where your passion came from, and get to, you know a little bit more about you guys. So, and then of course,
thanks for having us.
You can get to hear our side of the story as well. It's probably not going to be as interesting, at least not mine, but you know, yours might be.
I was tired of squinting.
Oh,
so I could see these guys. Now I can see, except I can't see my hands now, you know.
Is it one of those?
That's one of those. I usually wear different glasses when I do the show.
We will guide you to your beer, Jerry.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Little left.
It'll be pouring the beer that I'll need help
It'd
with.
be tricky.
Yeah, I know how to get from here to here. It's from here to here, you know.
Well, speaking of beers, usually we choose a beer ahead of time, but this time we just decided, you know, let you guys pick your favorite go-tos, and we'll have you reveal what you like to drink. So since it is centered around beer, why don't we get that started?
Well, let's start with Gentry.
Yeah.
Right. Mad Dog, please.
Mad Dog.
Mad
I'm
Dog.
sorry.
All right. So I am a recent retransplant to the South and live in Georgia. And it kind of coincided with my new love of just hazy IPAs. And I can thank Jeff for that. He guilted me over the years and got me into more hoppy, hazy type beers. And this is just one that I discovered out here. I really do feel like I'm at an angle here. There we go. And this has just kind of become my go-to for quite some time here. So
Southern Juice.
Southern Juice. Yep. So from Jekyll Brewing. There we go.
Are they in Georgia?
Amazing beer.
They are in Georgia. Yep, from Alpharetta, Georgia. It says it's inspired by Jekyll Island, Georgia, which I actually read up on last night. And it's Georgia has some islands. Man, I really do feel like I'm
leaning. You're on a cruise ship and it's in a
Your guitar is
bank,
straight,
right?
so
yeah.
awesome. And it's backwards, so sorry about that. But anyway, Jekyll Island is one of the outlying just kind of islands off of Georgia, which has a few. But it's all I remember from what I read last night. It's the only island that has like a causeway, like that you can drive to it from land.
Oh, okay.
How interesting is that? And that has nothing to do with the beer itself. So I don't know how it was inspired by Jekyll Island, but it's really good. It's fantastic. It's a juicy hop haze sensation beer, and it's just fantastic.
Now, did they have a brewery there where you can go try it on tap? And
Don't know.
oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
If they had that.
I was like, how far away is the brewery from you? Have you looked it up?
Well, Alpharetta is only like a couple hours
Okay.
from me, so I did want to go down there.
It'd be a fun Sunday drive for you. Go check it out. That'd be cool.
It would. Jekyll Island is about 5 hours from me, so
Hmm.
but one of these days I shall go. So,
Oh, yes.
We may have to do like a guitar pedal trade in the mail one of these
Yes.
times, to
yes.
send you some stuff and, vice versa.
I absolutely need to send you some of this. I think you'll enjoy it.
That'd be cool.
You guys do. It is one of the best hazies, if not the best hazy I've ever had. Unfortunately, I've only had it 2 times, but it is amazing.
And that's saying a lot.
Yes, it is.
That is saying a lot. That is saying a lot.
That's saying a lot.
I'm gonna.
And you guys have to send Gentry the. I always forget the name of the one you sent me.
The Pebblehead?
Pebblehead.
Yeah.
Was that the real juicy, fruity one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was delicious.
You got room for another one in there, Gentry.
You do.
I do.
How big is that can?
I was going to say.
Yeah.
That looked like a full
Mad Dog's
can.
got big hands.
Either that's a
Mad
big-ass glass or it's a small can.
Or I've been pre-drinking.
Or pre-drinking. There you go. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I'd love to try that. That'd be really cool.
Absolutely.
See that beautiful haze one more time? Sorry. We were joking around.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. That is a nice color.
Beautiful.
That's almost the color of the beer on our logo. It's actually kind of nice.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that kind of is.
Right? A little bit. We got a hazy, didn't even know it.
We knew what we were doing in the beginning.
Right. Just not, but.
It's truly a shame that this just isn't available everywhere, guys.
Well, I feel that about lots of beers.
A lot of beer,
actually,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we run into that a lot.
Mhm.
I had the good fortune of going to Vancouver recently and discovered a brewery called Yellow Dog, and I've dreamt about it.
Really?
And, you can't get it out here, and so just beers are like that,
Yep.
So,
Some people are stingy with their beers. They like to keep them where they're at.
those Canadians.
Yeah, those Canadians
Right,
there
exactly.
that way.
Yeah.
I want to go to Elsinore Brewery. It's really exciting.
I hear if you put a rat in the bottle, you can get free.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You ever see Strange Brew?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Not Strange. Yeah, was it Strange Brew?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a long
Great
time,
stuff.
But yeah.
Yeah, man.
So what about you, Jeff? What are you drinking?
Yeah, so I have a bucket of ice here with a rotation of beers because we all know that the hazy IPA, as I think with all of us on the screen, that is my favorite. It's definitely, but there's another beer that, like, when my friends think of beer, if I show up to a house party or something and I know I'm going to be putting several back, there's one beer that is always in hand. There's one beer that's always in my fridge. Anyone want to guess? I've talked about it before.
801.
Yeah. Oh, Gentry, Mad Dog, what'd you say?
801.
801.
Really? Wow.
This is my Bud Light essentially. Although
That's a new can, isn't it?
You're thinking 805.
No, this is-
805. Okay.
You're thinking 805. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, this is just a Utah one. So that's the area
Okay.
code, the original area code. For
Oh,
Utah
yes,
is
it is.
801.
Yeah, 85 or 84.
So this is a small batch pilsner. So it's
Or no.
a hoppy pilsner. It's fantastic. I even have a
Glass.
801 glass. Yeah, this beer, I don't know what it is. It's just amazing. And I shouldn't be proud of it, but I can pound this all night long and feel amazing in the morning. And it's the only beer I can do that. Because literally, even the hazies, as much as I love them, if I drink 2 of them too close to bedtime, I'm hungover the next morning.
Yeah.
But not this one. This is, I think my record is like 100 ounces in one night, and I felt amazing the next
Holy
day.
crap.
Yeah. But so it's just a pilsner. It's a nice, crisp, clear pilsner. Kind of clear. It's not nearly as clear as like your Budweisers or that. But yeah, because that small batch, it's got this hoppiness to it. So most guys who are just strictly Bud guys, I'm like, hey, here's a pilsner if you want it. Because if they're at my house or whatever, it's like I can't offer you a Bud, but I can offer you this. They're like, nah, that's way too hoppy for me.
I'll have to try that sometime.
Yeah. So from Uinta Brewing, this is one that I'll have to send some guitar pedals because it's 801. They only sell it in Salt Lake.
So it's made by Uinta? That's cool.
Yeah, Uinta Brewing. Yep.
Did
I not send this one already? Why am I
not the 801?
Not the 801, no. No, we've done other Uintas, but not that one.
Yeah, I would have thought that'd be the first one you sent.
I made a mistake then. Yeah, I should have sent this one. But anyway, I will definitely send these. So yeah, delicious, nice, crisp beer.
See, you just struck a memory into my head that I don't know how I still remember this. My childhood phone number.
Oh yeah,
801-299-0126. If anybody has that number now.
that's funny.
Don't call it.
Yeah.
I've called my childhood phone number. Yeah. 615-895-5559. So
Right on.
I don't remember who.
No, 801.
801-969-5156. It's funny how we all remember these.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But when I was a kid, they never did say the 299 or the 298, you know. It was CY9 and CY8. Or Cypress 9, Cypress 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, say that again?
So, I mean, you know, we never had to dial long distance. Well, if we dialed long distance, it was going to cost us a lot of money. So you never had to dial the 801. But if you're telling somebody your phone number, mine was Cypress 90126.
Why Cypress?
Because
the
CY
C and the Y
is
in the letter?
CY is going to be 2 and 9.
Oh, okay.
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 And so they
I thought
gave
you
them a
meant, I was
name.
confused because of Magna and you lived in Kern and
Cypress.
Cypress. I thought maybe there was
Cypress High
like
School. That was probably
there was like
named
a
after the
Cypress
area code or after
area.
the area.
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
Sparks a question in me that I have. Have you ever heard the phone number format Klondike 5?
CarMax?
Klondike.
Oh, Klondike.
Klondike 5.
I never heard of that.
CN5? Or, yeah, I don't know. That will be.
I gotta Google that. It apparently it was a thing. Klondike 5, and then whatever the digits were after that. I don't know.
Well, C would be 2
Right.
to start with.
Or Klondike with a K.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
with
true. Klondike's with a K, huh?
Well, ABC is 1, isn't it? And then DEF is 2. Isn't that how
Yeah,
it
so why
goes?
would it be Cypress?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
No, because 1 doesn't have letters.
Oh, 1. That's right.
ABC does start, at least
2?
in the old school days.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't-
2 was ABC.
Yeah,
Huh.
Anyway, maybe
that's right.
episode.
And then there was no X and no Q.
You got to find an
Back
old
in the
keypad
He's right.
phone number. Yeah.
He's right.
Oh, that's right.
So
Those are the same.
2 starts ABC. Good point out
9
there.
is Y, right?
Yeah.
The truth about beer and phone.
Telephone numbers. That's
Talking about
interesting.
Ma Bell back in the old days.
Right. That's
All right, guys. What are you guys drinking?
All right, go ahead, Joey.
So I like Jeff, and I love hazy IPAs. That's my go-to. But since I've started drinking these, I just can't keep them out of my fridge. I can't keep them in my fridge either, you know. So I have to keep replenishing them. But that is the Santan Brewery Pebblehead. Can't get close enough to the camera, but it's such a
Good stuff.
really good
Dude,
stuff.
Gentry, you've got to try that beer. It is, it's insane.
We'll send you some, Gentry, for sure.
Yes, let's. I'll send you some Southern Juice. So, what kind of beer is it?
Well, it falls into the juicy, hazy kind of, but it has a special taste to it.
It really does. It's. I could tell, and I don't know. I'm not big on the juicy hazies like you guys are, but I could tell you it's not like any other beer you've ever had.
Yeah, it's called a Stony Hazy.
Stony hazy.
Yeah. And it says paradise awaits with this head-spinning blend of tropical tang and flavorful fruits. Pebblehead Stony Hazy IPA astounds the senses with tart flavors of stone fruit, tangerine, and passion fruit for the perfect blend of sweet and sour.
It's deliciousness in a
described it
can.
You know, the beer matches the color on the can.
Right?
It really
does.
does. Pretty
It
darn
really
close,
does.
isn't it?
Yeah, really close. Really close.
So,
That's good stuff there. That's my favorite by Santan by far.
Wow.
I have lots of favorites of theirs, but
I know.
this is my new thing.
Well, that's what makes it. I think that's what makes it hard. We've tried so many beers over the last couple of years. I mean, it's hard to really. When somebody says, "What's your favorite beer?" It's like
Yeah.
I don't know. What category are we talking, right? I mean, because we've tried so much. I just don't know.
And the situation, the seasons.
Right.
Like the sea quench ale from Dogfish Head, that kind of sour one.
God,
that lime
so
pilsner from Uinta. Like if I'm done doing a bunch of yard work, I'm not about to grab an IPA. I'm going to grab a lime pilsner or the sea quench ale.
Oh, should I not drink an IPA after I mow my lawn?
No, don't do that. Mad Dog, come on. We've talked about it.
No, I didn't know.
Or on Tuesdays.
I
don't know why.
That's funny.
So
unrelated, but sea quench ale. Sequential?
Yeah.
Oh my
it's
God,
in the
it's so good.
Go back and watch the episode.
Yes.
We talk about this gentry.
We do.
we explain it. We explain it all.
No, but really, it is. It's actually because of they put the ingredients and how they hop it and everything in a very sequential order. So it's sequential. So actually, good catch, because honestly, I drank it several times before I didn't catch on to that until I read it. So you are a smarter man than I.
I know.
Maybe Gentry needs to be on more beer shows.
I just thought of something that quenched your thirst as you sat on a beach.
That's kind of how I
think
thought.
I think that's where my brain went.
What a good beer though, man. It was delicious. Really good. So
when was this one released, Joey? Is that a newer release or just new to you?
A couple of years. I want to say it's a couple of years ago.
Probably. I mean, I'm trying to think when we first tried it. It hasn't been that long.
We found it by accident in Total Wine.
Yeah, it's only been within the year, hasn't it, that we tried it for the first time?
I think it's 2 years. I think it's almost 2 years.
Since we tried it for the first time?
So, yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Right.
Yeah. If you go back, I think it's almost 2 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Where is Sam?
Yeah. But I'd forgotten about it.
The brewery's in Chandler.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, the brewery's in Chandler, and then they have several restaurants and pubs around the area. They got one in Scottsdale, one in Chandler, one at the airport. So good food, fantastic food, actually. Probably one of the best green chili burgers I think I ever freaking had. I mean, that thing was delicious. But yeah,
Nice.
good food, good beer, and then they'll put out beers seasonally that they don't put out in the stores. So you have to go to the brewery and get them, like the winter warmers one of them that they do. There's a couple other ones that they do, and it's so good. They do a bunch of like sours and stuff like that. So it's very cool.
No, actually, I'd forgotten about this until we went to Paracon out at Vulture City. Yeah. And you said, hey, they got the Pebblehead. And I go, I remember Pebblehead.
Yeah.
Then I went and got one, and it's been in my fridge almost ever since.
I'll have to figure out the date. I want to say it was almost 2 years. I want to say it was almost the start of the pandemic is when we tried it. But
what pandemic?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'm going to be boring compared to all you guys because, like I said, we've tried so many beers. I like a lot of different beers now. But if there's one go-to that'll always be in my fridge, and a lot of it I blame on my dad because he likes it. But I like to, it's kind of one of those things, Jeff, where you're just looking to throw back a beer, something that always does really well for me. It would be Stella. So,
nothing wrong with that, man.
Stella.
I love good Stella, especially in the can.
Absolutely.
Since you started the whole can thing with us, I mean, it's just delicious in a can. I go back to drinking it in a bottle, and it just tastes skunky to me. But I just love it in the can.
Yeah.
So
I love Stella.
So that would be my, always have a 6-pack in the fridge. So
nice.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. I go back to that episode when we experimented
with the can
and
the
the bottle. It was like, wow, this is the same beer.
You go back to that because we were drunk during that episode, or
probably, yeah.
Which we were.
Yeah, Stella is definitely one that's a regular in our fridge as well.
Yeah.
Well, we should do a toast.
Yeah.
To this,
absolutely.
Cheers to everybody's beer.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you next time.
It's not a beer segment.
But But we'll be drinking.
It's a whole show about beer.
Stella always takes me back to when my wife and I moved to Vegas. I don't know what it is, but I do know what it is. We moved to Vegas. One of the first bars we found was called the Martini. And Joey, you've actually been there.
Yeah.
When you guys came down one time, that kind of dark, cool, fancy, moody. Rachel was in town. And we went to the Martini. That they would always serve Stella. That was kind of like their thing in the nice big chalice. And,
Did they do it?
So we just kind of got hooked.
The proper way there? Do you know?
No, I've never seen someone like truly do the whole like 9-step process. I think you have to actually go to Belgium or whatever to actually see that. I would love to see someone do it.
Gentry's like, what? 9 steps?
Have we ever talked about that, Gentry? Have you seen that? There is a 9-step process to pour a Stella, and it's legit. People go to school to learn this.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about that on one of our episodes too.
Yeah.
You should subscribe to the channel, man. It's actually this is Joey and this is Keith. These are good guys. You should watch.
Okay.
No, we've seen
I'm the last to cover anything.
we cover stuff like that. But hey, you know what? Beer's not the only thing we all have in common. We are all musicians.
What?
You're
a musician too?
I am. Wow. No more, but
I knew these guys were.
Yes.
I've seen them play. Oh, wait, we played on the same show.
We played on the same show.
That's right.
A couple of times. And it was a lot of fun. It was really cool.
That was.
To get to experience, the talent that you guys have. So it's really very special. And that's why I think, to go back a little bit, when Joey and I first started this podcast, we had no clue what we were going to talk about on our shows, but we thought music was going to be a part of it because we were both, that's how Joey and I met, being musicians. And we got so far off track. I think we've only done one music episode? Maybe
we did
1.5 kind of.
We've talked about it. I mean, we did one actual music one, and then we talked about it in one.
And we still talked about Ghost in that one.
Yeah, that's true. We did.
so we went so heavy on the paranormal, which was a lot of fun. But I think this is going to be a cool change for season 4, just to go back to kind of the roots of what we wanted to start with this thing, and really do get into the music part of it, because I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than hanging out with a bunch of music nerds,
drinking beer,
because we can talk gear, we can talk music and bands and all kinds of crazy stuff that, I just can't shut up when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing. So, Jeff, I've got to hear you play and sing a couple of times, and, same with you, Gentry. And, Gentry, you're just a really cool songwriter, dude. I mean, some of the stuff you come out with, I'm blown away. I'm like, how do you think of that shit? And it was just so cool to get to experience that with you. And I'm truly appreciative of that. What I want to do kind of this episode is I want to kind of get to know you guys on a musician level. So, give us a little background about, how'd you start playing? How'd you start becoming interested in music? Has anybody in your family done it? Is it in your blood? Is it, what is it? So take it away.
My blood type is type G.
Okay, good.
Guitar.
Guitar.
In no way do I want to break the flow, but I got to grab another beer, you guys.
I did notice it was kind of empty there.
It was, and I don't have a cool ice bucket like you guys. I need to think about that next time.
Ours is nice, but it sweats all over the place.
It's true. It does leave a puddle.
I too need to get a cool ice bucket, because using mom's Tupperware just isn't cool anymore.
Yeah, but I looked up to you. I thought you had you're using a Tupperware bowl, man.
I've got a tasting flight. That's about the coolest thing I have is, I do have the True Flight board, but no, I need an awesome bucket like that.
No, that's a beer salad.
Beer salad.
Yeah, exactly.
We couldn't use that though, because it would just disappear on the green screen. We can't have anything green.
Floating beer.
It is.
Do you want me to jump? Sorry.
You go ahead, Jeff. Do you want to start off?
I can start talking, Gentry, if you want to hurry and run and grab a beer, because you know my history.
Yeah, but I want to hear it again. But talk. But priorities, guys. I got to grab a.
Go grab one. You got it.
Okay. Well, we'll start with the obvious stuff. So, my dad, of course, plays guitar. Joey's brother. So it's just, But the funny thing is, though, is like really, I didn't see my dad play guitar very much growing up. Like we always had a guitar out. He'd always play, but like my dad would always play like just silly songs. It was, there was just always an acoustic guitar. I'll get to the story, but it's like I didn't see my dad actually even touch an electric guitar until I was a teenager. It was just always acoustic guitar. Remember this old Ovation that he had around that I hated trying to learn to play because I was small and it would slip in my lap and the rounded back on that thing.
Yep.
But it definitely, like, with him playing and then my brother playing, I almost have more memories of that because my brother would play in his rock band, The Humble Englishman. This is such a weird name, which it was a joke. I can't remember the joke, but so we go to like his high school concerts and watch his band play. And so it just like was always, of course I'm going to play guitar. That's just what you do in this family. My sister kind of played guitar, my older one. And yeah, we had an old little nylon string Stella. I think it was Janny's guitar.
It was Janny's, yep.
Right. All right, yeah. So we had my aunt's old guitar, super easy to play. I don't know if it originally had nylon strings, but that's what my dad threw on it. So nice and easy to play. So it wasn't originally nylon?
Mm-mm. It was,
all right.
Yeah, it had steel strings on originally.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I appreciated that it had nylon because, again, for my little 10-year-old, 12-year-old fingers, whatever, it was easy to play. It was soft. And then I remember I came across some tab it was a simplified version of Dust in the Wind. And that was the first song I ever learned to play. Wow. It wasn't the true Travis picking on it. It was just a nice, simple version, which unfortunately, because that's how I learned it, I like naturally go back to that simplified version. I have to remind myself, like, no, there's more notes in between all of this.
Right.
But yeah, so that's why I got playing and just it was just like a little bit picking here and there, and then I kind of lost interest for a couple years, and then it wasn't really until probably 13 years old. I was probably 8th grade or so that it's like I started noticing that girls thought guys who played guitar were cool. And then the band Collective Soul was getting really popular. And so that was my first real, I want to duplicate the sounds that these guys are making. And I remember 2 songs in particular. One was December. We want it, but whatever. We all know the song. If you don't know it, you know it. But anyway, I just had this light chorus to it, had some picking, and it was an easy one to learn. And like as soon as I learned that, it's like, holy shit, I sound like the album, even though I'm sure I didn't. But it's like, how cool is that? It was that first like moment of like, I sound like the guy on the CD. And then the other one for me was not Calypso, but was Glycerine by Bush, because all the girls in junior high thought that was such a cool song. And I remember I quickly discovered, because I'd bought a cheap little electric by this point, I could turn my tone knob way down and it would sound like the big muff that he uses for distortion in that. It had like kind of the same tone. So same thing. It was this, like, I've got to sound like the music, the same tone that these guys are getting. So those two anyway, kind of is what got me going. The inspiration from my dad, even though I didn't see him play the music, he was always just playing like Dr. Demento, funny stuff. Right. He would play this character that he still plays to this day, which is freaking awesome that he's been doing it literally since I was in elementary school. And I'm 40 years old this year and he still does it, but Elvis. But anyway, but we would listen to Kansas, the Doobie Brothers, CCR, Tower of Power. Like, that was the classic rock I grew up in, like, which I love, but I genuinely didn't like really get into the Beatles. Everyone gets into the Beatles. Truly like love the Beatles. And don't hit me, and Gentry's going to puke, but he knows this already, till like last year, literally. Like, I knew them, obviously. It's like, who doesn't? Right. But I didn't. It was like last year. I had to call Gentry. It's like, dude, I just made like a massive Beatles playlist. It's all I've been playing for like an entire week. Those guys are good. No, but like just really appreciating what the music was, which is fine. The only thing that I don't like, that I kind of feel gypped by, is what I was inspired by was pretty basic. You look at CCR, they're not revolutionizing, the world of music. Doobie Brothers, some great talent in there. Eagles, like I'd listened to the Eagles a lot growing up, but I didn't. And because of that, and then I jumped into bands like Collective Soul, like Bush, that kind of just early to mid 90s sound. None of it was progressive. None of it really stretched the limits. It was all, 1-5-6-4 type stuff. And so I've been stuck in that space for so long. But I love that space. And it's I can appreciate those songs. But it's like over time, and kudos to Gentry, is like showed me more things over the past 20 plus years. It's not like this is all recent. It's like, oh, all right, there's different time signatures other than 4/4 and maybe 3/4 every once in a while. There's some really cool time signatures out there, So anyway, that's kind of the history of what brought me up. But at the same time, I still just, what I do like about it is I can just appreciate music for what it is. If it's just a fun, enjoyable song, even if it's not intelligent by any stretch of the imagination, it's just a good song, absolutely play it. I totally enjoy it. And unfortunately, I mean, that's why a lot of the 90s alternative I love. Those guys get same thing. It's just really good 4-piece songwriting.
Yeah. But
it was nothing like the stuff that was going on in the 60s and 70s with some of the more progressive bands that were taking place. But yeah, so that's kind of the basics of my music. I won't go too far into. Oh, real quick though, with my dad, I'd mentioned I'd never really seen him jam. I'd seen pictures of him in Stanley Stone with Joey on the bass, slapping the bass. But it's like I remember I think it was high school. So I had my band room in our basement, and I come home from school one day, and someone is just shredding on the guitar downstairs. I'm like, Mom, like, who is playing my guitar? What is it? She's like, that's your dad. I'm like, wait, what? Elvis plays electric? I'm sure I gotta be dramatized somehow. Like I had to have seen him play before, but I don't know. That moment just stuck out to me. It's like, Dad, like you freaking rock. Like, all right, man. Like, play some distortion, grab the electric. And yeah, I don't know why that moment really stuck with me, because it was always growing up, like Dad was really talented with guitar, plays his acoustic, super just fun to watch to play. But Uncle Joey was the rocker. Uncle Joey was the country guy. Uncle Joey he was the guy with all the electric and the amps and all that stuff. And I just always thought you were so cool. And I still think you're so cool because of that. But anyway, it's like finding that it's like, oh, they are brothers. Like they both can rock out. This is pretty cool. So anyway, I'm sure I'll jump in with more things here or there, but there's the quickest version of my music.
That's great, man. That's awesome.
I have more to add to his story.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, and real quick, actually, before I go too far, me and Gentry. So we met, it was the end of 9th grade. I did not go to his junior high, but our bass player did, and there was this fun little, it wasn't even a battle of the bands. It was just a couple bands playing at lunch at the end of the school year. And I had just moved out to the area. But anyway, so my band played, Gentry's band played, and I kept hearing about this guy named Gentry. Oh, you got this guy named Gentry. He's amazing. He's a prodigy at guitar. And so his band played. His band kind of sucked, and we sucked, but Gentry was amazing. It's like, of all the guys that were there that day, clearly there was this one guy that stood out among all of us. But anyway, and so then in high school, we went through summer, we didn't know each other, and then we were actually both in men's choir at the beginning of 10th grade. And we quickly became friends, and we quickly convinced our choir director that we needed more than just piano in these songs. And so easily within the first semester or two, he was letting us bring our classical guitars, and then he let us bring in a bass. Now, I don't think we ever got to electric guitar in it, but that carried through all of high school. We started our band, and we were in high choir all together for all 3 years. But there was not a single choir concert that Jeff and Gentry didn't show up without their guitars. And fortunately, our music director was just awesome, would let us do it. So yeah, we'd have bass, we'd have guitar in our choir songs. And then our band was Aisle 9, because we both worked at Smith's grocery store. Aisle 9 was the candy aisle. So who doesn't love candy?
Right.
So anyway, that's how me and Gentry know each other.
That's cool. Very cool.
That's a great introduction for Gentry.
Yeah, I think so too. Great segue.
Yeah.
All right, Gentry's got his beer now. He's ready to go.
Oh, I didn't know what segue meant. I didn't know it was my turn.
Wait, before you go, real quick, Gentry.
Yeah.
Let's get a Grolsch pop.
Ah,
Go for another pillar. Here we go.
yes.
Let me put it up to my microphone.
Oh, that was a nice one. He even shut the camera.
Dang.
Damn.
That was like a
Even the
vibration.
smoke.
I felt the whole
All right.
studio shake.
Right?
Man.
That was a
These
good
things are
one.
amazing.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. All right, Gentry, take it away.
Okay. I don't know what to say. So I was born in Nashville, and I feel like it would have been just wrong if I didn't come out of Nashville not being a guitar player, But my dad was a guitar player. He was a musician, and guitars were just all over the house, and just picked it up eventually. And it wasn't even my dad who really kind of taught me how to play. They were around, so I picked one up, and I just kind of fell into it, and so in fact, you guys, so in my studio here, if I can pull this off, I hung, this is the guitar neck that I learned on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I just kind of,
An Epiphone, huh?
Epiphone, yep. And I just
What was
realized
the guitar?
I pulled the nail out.
What Epiphone was that?
So I don't know the exact model, but I know it was an Epiphone Texan, basically. And it was some kind of F model series, who knows, but essentially a Texan. But anyway, so yeah, I just kind of picked it up and started young but my influences from my dad were just all the good classic music of the 60s, and my dad just had all the Beatles LPs, and but he just got me into a lot of random 60s, 70s music. I mean, bands like the Critters, from the 60s, like and then I totally ripped a Critters song off when I was like in high school. But stuff like that, and just kind of gave me a good sense of what good music was from the 60s and 70s. Pablo Cruz in the 70s. You guys know Pablo Cruz, right? Like,
Oh yeah, played several Pablo Cruz. Well, a couple Pablo Cruz songs. Yeah,
that's awesome. I remember the World's Away album just like kind of changed my life, and so which is weird, but geez, help me out here. What do I do? So I mean, but I kind of had this weird interest in music. I remember the first song I ever learned how to play. Well, it was one of two. It was either Last Train to Clarksville, but simultaneously, I remember kind of just picking out Super Agent Man.
yeah.
Is that what it is?
Secret Agent Man?
Secret Agent Man, yeah.
Yeah.
So who was that? I don't even know who sang that. Now,
Ah, crap.
I love that song.
Agent Man.
Mm.
Oh, Jeff's cheating.
Consult the phones.
Yeah. So, because in a sense, they kind of have similar kind of riffs.
Oh, that was Johnny Rivers. Yeah, good guy.
Johnny Rivers.
Apparently.
You bet. All right. Anyway, I remember I was like, I wrote my first song when I was about 10. And what I had done was I recorded it on a cassette player, just guitar and vocals. And then I hit play on that cassette recorder. And on the second tape recorder, I hit record and then basically multi-tracked it. Mm-hmm. And then hit record on that or play on that, and it basically ended up doing like some 8-track stuff when I was like 10. And then my dad recorded over it, and it's lost to history. But anyway, I it's just I fell in love with it, and that's all I ever did. And basically, and I remember talking about what Jeff said. I went to a yard sale when I was about 10, and I found this guy was selling his LPs, and I found Frank Zappa's Apostrophe album on vinyl, and that like changed everything for me, because the Beatles, of course, I just started young with them. And so that's why I love them so much and think they're the greatest band ever. And by the way, when I befriended Jeff, I didn't know he wasn't a Beatles fan.
Would that have changed anything?
It would have changed everything. Like,
I have always respected the Beatles. I just didn't understand them until way, way too late in my life. I'm showing a lot of vulnerability right now. Please don't attack me. Okay?
It's always been just kind of the specter hanging over our friendship.
It is. I know.
We're on board now, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Apostrophe by Frank Zappa just kind of exposed me to that weirdness about music that I love to this day, and so that's
that explains a lot about Gentry.
What, Zappa?
Yeah. His songwriting style.
Well, I think Zappa too,
and weird time signature stuff,
Yeah, and humor in music.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's
he's
cool.
probably where I got kind of that idea, So, but I've played in bands my whole life, and Aisle 9, and with Jeff, and what am I leaving out, Jeff? It's
What I have a question for you. So, what really made you take the turn to writing music? I mean, at what point? There's some people that go through their whole career as musicians and they just like to do cover tunes and that's all they do. Some people like to make that turn and actually write their own stuff, which is incredibly difficult for me to do. But at what point did you make that turn and go, man, I'm a pretty decent writer. I'm going to continue writing?
Well, the decision to write, and then at the point when I became a good songwriter, are completely different.
Well, of course. Well, I think that's with anybody. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I wrote that first song when I was 10 or so, and it's just always something I wanted to do. And, and it was a bad song, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know. It's just listening to the music that I liked just inspired me to do my own, but I don't know how to describe it.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, but honestly, I mean, it really hasn't been until the past 5-6 years or so that I've been satisfied with my own songwriting, and I spent like many years just kind of hating my own stuff because it's just not where I wanted it to be. But honestly, in the past 5 to 6 years, everything I write is like my new favorite, and it's great. And I don't think I would be at this point now if I hadn't have taken that long road of just working on my craft. And like, I hate this song. Why do I hate it? How can I make it better? And
right.
That kind of thing. And so
I don't think you're alone in that respect, though. I mean, if you watch a lot of interviews of famous musicians, one that comes to mind for me is Billy Joel. I watch a lot of interviews with him, and he'll to this day say, I hate the way I sound when I sing. I hate it. He goes, I can't stand it. And there's songs that are huge hits that he just can't stand. He despises them. So I think if you go down the line of famous musicians and you watch their interviews and their stories, you're going to find that's commonality. You're going to see that a lot where they're not always happy with what they write,
Yeah. And that's a good thing. I mean, and that's, so, and I'm not Billy Joel. I mean, he's crazy to think that about himself because he's a genius, but but yeah, anyway, that's kind of my story. So, but now I kind of gravitate towards, I don't know what I write. Everything interests me, rock. I've composed a few classical pieces, which is more like neoclassical, not real classical, funny songs, inappropriate songs. There's one like a gangster rap song that I thought was not bad, but it probably is. And it's just whatever I feel like that day. So
very cool. That's a cool story, man. I like that. That's awesome. So do you want to add to Jeff's story?
Oh, I guess you want me to go now?
Yeah, you can go.
I mean, because we both were inspired by the same person. So, because I had a brother that's 4 years older than I am. He was Jeff's dad. And yeah, like Jeff, it was just cool. He played guitar in bands in high school, and I just really dug it, And so originally, though, I wanted to be a drummer. And so I did take some lessons from Russ, and you met Russ, right? I mean,
Yeah.
So devastated he passed last year. But anyway, I took those lessons, and it didn't take me long to realize that I wasn't really going to be a drummer, It just didn't have that. There's something about drummers that they're a different breed, yeah, altogether. They, different personality type and all that. They're just, I didn't fall into that. And just one day, I was sitting with my brother Steve, and he goes, "Hey, you want to learn some guitar chords?" And I said, "Well, okay, sure." And he showed me 3 chords. That was to Proud Mary, which is a CCR song, of course. And I learned that pretty quick. And he had already been married at that time, so he wasn't living in the house, So it wasn't with him all the time. But I said, "Well, this is pretty cool." So he showed me how to read chord diagrams, And so pretty much I was on my own after learning Proud Mary for learning other songs. And then I'd get together with him, and he'd say, "Nah, try this," He'd give me the little tips and tricks and stuff. And yeah, it just kind of took off as a guitar player. Back then, well, obviously CCR was a big influence because their songs were easy, but they were cool. They had a nice feel to them, and they were just fun to play. And so like Jeff, I guess I've fallen into that same thing. I would learn these 3 or 4 chord songs, and I think probably my favorite rock band as a kid was Grand Funk Railroad. So I learned their stuff, and that was cool. But I think where I turned the corner into expanding into other chord progressions, and that was learning some stuff by the group America, because they got more into the major sevenths and minor sevenths and a lot of stuff that just made the songs really pretty. And so even though my brother influenced me as much as he did, I was pretty much self-taught, at that point. And he just gave me the tools I needed to improve, as I was ready for him. And so, and I'm not that great of a guitar player 60 or 50 years later.
No, disagree.
I beg to differ too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I see kids when I was teaching lessons, I'd have those students that, they're never going to get anywhere. They just don't have it, or, they just, parents want them to do stuff, and it just didn't work. But there were those students that all of a sudden they kind of clicked right off, like I think I did, but at a different level, because I've had some students that are, they play circles around me at this point. And one thing, my brother Steve, did he ever try to get you into Jeff, like Allman Brothers and any of that?
Not really. I mean, he would talk about it and we'd listen to it here and there, but no.
Yeah, I mean, that was it. I mean, he really liked the Allman Brothers at one point, and I'd listen to him like, nah, that's not me. And the same thing with Steely Dan back when I was a little kid, Listen to Steely Dan, it's just like, I can't relate to this stuff. But now later on in life, Steely Dan's probably one of my favorite bands, of all time. And just that kind of, I guess, as I grew and matured as a player, and learned I could play more crazy crap, then I started to like those bands a little bit more.
What about Chicago? Did he talk Chicago a lot back then?
Yeah, well, the first time we were going to do a band together, I'm trying to think what was going on at the time. Because I was pretty young, but that's when he started showing me how to play bass. Right. And I was playing a lot of Chicago, bass parts and learning those songs. And Santana and that stuff, So a lot of that stuff I learned as a bass player that I had to kind of recreate or learn the guitar parts later. But I love Chicago too.
I just always, because he would always talk Chicago, and I always thought he was referring to Peter Cetera's Chicago.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it's good, but like that surprises me. And honestly, it's another one of those things that it dawned on me way too late in life. It's like, no, I'm talking Terry Kath's Chicago. Yeah. Like, oh, that, all right.
Terry
That's
Kath
a totally different Chicago.
Totally amazing. Yeah. Most underrated guitarist of all time, I think.
He was Jimi Hendrix's favorite guitarist.
So the story goes. Someone debunked that, but
oh, they did.
But that's all right. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, they never really were. From the story I heard, is they never really were in the same place at the same time,
right,
and all that. But I think, and people will really hate me for this. I think Jimi Hendrix was amazing, but not any more amazing than a Terry Kath, or I can't think of other players at the time. But anyway, where was I going? Oh, I was going to kind of go back. So the Ovation you were talking about, that was the first acoustic that I think your dad had after Mo, if you know who Mo is. Mo's the guitar that I learned on. It's a black Harmony F-hole, big-bodied guitar.
I don't think I know Mo.
Oh, I still have Mo, but when I moved to Arizona, I gave your dad that Ovation.
All right.
Which is an applause. I mean, it was an
offshoot
from Ovation.
Yeah.
But so that was my guitar too.
Nice. I didn't realize that.
And I got it back from Laurie, gave it to me back, but the thing is totally gone.
Yeah.
And Stella was one that Janny never really learned to play, so we kind of inherited that and changed it over to nylon strings because the steel strings were bending the neck too much, making the action really suck. So we put the nylon on it, and that stayed with you guys, which was cool. And
still around to this day.
Yeah. It's an American-made guitar, even though back then it was considered something cheap, but it's lasted this long, and so is Mo. Mo is also a Harmony made, guitar, and it's still around. Yeah,
that's cool.
Nice.
So, so music's just always been what keeps my blood flowing. I don't know what more to say other than just love it, and I'm a gearhead. When it comes to guitar pedals and all kinds of equipment and recording stuff, and
it's in your blood.
Yeah, I'm just a nerd.
I think one of the coolest elements, though, is it's such a family thing for you guys. That's just such a cool tie-in, And,
there's always guitars around.
Yeah,
we get together.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. Yeah, it's not.
Let's remember. Oh, sorry, Keith.
No, you're good. Good.
Because you were always the country uncle. Like you were playing in the country bands, and like we weren't ever much of a country family.
No,
it was always more the CCR, Doobie Brothers, things like that.
That's where I remember the money.
You guys came up one time for a trip. I mean, this had to be early '90s, and you introduced my mom to. I don't even know the difference. Country or country western? What's Garth Brooks? Is he country or is he country western?
Yeah. No, country western's the good old stuff.
All right. So that was the difference.
Gene Autry and all that stuff. Yeah.
All right. So she's like, "Oh, I like country. I don't like country western." Like from that day forward, we had Alabama playing. We had Garth Brooks playing. I cursed your name a few times, Joey. I'm going to admit it. Like, great. We were a rock family for the longest time. And now I totally appreciate that music. And I I have no issue with it. It's fantastic. But
it came a long ways. I mean, and I did go to that because it had more money in it at the time. You know, your dad and I played in Stanley Stone together, and during that time, that music was really cool, and it still is. It's my favorite stuff. The stuff we did, more of the funk, you know, the Tower of Power and Commodores and all. At Pablo Cruz, we played several Pablo Cruz songs and stuff. You know, what you gonna do? We did What You Gonna Do When She Says Goodbye.
When she says goodbye.
Yeah, and then we did that was Tower of Power. So Very Hard to Go. What's the other one? It'll come to me. But anyway, when disco happened, that just screwed us, you know, because we were doing really good late 90s, early 80s. Stanley Stone was booked every weekend, 4 or 5 nights a week. You know, we were living the life. And fucking Saturday Night Fever came out and screwed us all up. So
that reminds me, actually, because your guys' outfits were those polyester outfits, the bell bottoms. I thought it was disco. I remember seeing that picture. I've got it right behind me. I should hurry and grab it. But I remember looking at that picture as a kid. I'm like, Dad, were you in a disco band?
Never say that word.
It's like, yeah. It's like, don't you dare call that disco.
Yeah. I mean, so that's kind of where I was forced into country. You know, if I wanted to keep playing and making money, I had to, you know, go over to country. Because that was shortly after Saturday Night Fever was Urban Cowboy. You know,
yeah, that's true.
And then that's really what kicked off that craze. So it was timing, and the other thing, because I know we're going to start later on talking about lyrics and all that, you know, song lyrics and stuff. The funny thing is, up until I went to country music, I never really paid attention to song lyrics. You know, I had so many song lyrics wrong because I concentrated more on the melody of the song and how it, you know, the music all tied together with the melody than I ever did with paying attention to the lyrics. And a lot of that was because a lot of the lyrics you couldn't understand, you know, and some of the rock and roll and all that stuff. So it wasn't until I really got over to country that I started hearing lyrics, because they became the most important part of the song, you know. It was storytelling. And so anyway, that's for another show, and we'll start talking about lyrics and stuff. But that's where I started paying more attention to lyrics, was when I switched over to country. So
that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Too bad the lyrics in country aren't that.
Yeah, they're not that great, but they're very understandable. And you're going along in a story, you know. So a lot of them are super, super corny.
Yeah. Why, you don't like Achy Breaky Heart?
I thought it was a cool guitar riff, though.
I actually didn't mind it. Unpopular opinion, you know.
What I love about like Garth Brooks, though, to this day, is just how good of a performer he is.
Oh yeah.
It's like they talk about, he goes, you know, to these cities and performs multiple nights, and that dude just puts it to 110% every single night. Like literally, it's awesome. I so respect that, and I actually genuinely enjoy a lot of his stuff now. I didn't like most things. I'm always late to the party, but it's like there's some really good songs. Even though he wasn't doing all the songwriting, but it's just some good songs. Even if there's not a lot of depth to them, they're good.
Yeah. Do you know who his biggest influence is when it comes to performing and how he performs on stage?
Ooh, hey.
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel?
Really?
Yep.
All right. Nice.
Yeah. It's one of his big idols when it comes to performance-wise. I don't know, you know, so much about the music-wise, but if you notice, a lot of the things that, if you watch Billy Joel's show and then you watch a Garth Brooks show, they do a lot of very similar things on stage with the jumping around the way they do. And
yeah, that's why we recorded Shameless.
Yes, that's exactly why I recorded Shameless.
All right.
Yep.
Nice.
So interesting. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about the lyrics thing, man. That's gonna be fun. That'd be cool to dive into that.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Keith. Let's hear it, man.
Yeah.
Oh, my story's kind of boring.
Yeah, this is Keith Jambo Davidson.
That was my high school nickname. Yes, it was. Yeah, I have no family musical background at all, as far as mom, dad, grandparents, brothers, sisters, nothing like that. As far as playing instruments, it really started out as a big joke for me. It was me and a bunch of my friends sitting around hanging out. I think I was 7 years old, and they're like, "Oh, dude, we should start a band." And none of us liked the same kind of music. It was just we were just all stupid and going, "Oh, okay, let's do it." So I legitimately asked my parents. I said, "Hey, I was like." Well, I asked my friends. I said, "So what do you guys want me to play? Play drums? Yeah, it'd be cool. No, you play piano." I'm like, "Piano? I don't want to play piano." I had no interest in it. But so I asked my parents to sign me up for piano lessons, and they did. And I went through 3 or 4 lessons, and I kind of got addicted to it. I mean, I really enjoyed the progress I was making. I was making it pretty quick, and teacher was kind of impressed with how quick I was going through the book. And then it was about that time in school where they started offering to play an instrument. So I figured I'd go on full on band geek mode, and I learned to play the trombone in 3rd grade. So, I stuck with the piano. I did a lot of classical stuff growing up. I did a lot of high school competitions. They had the state competitions that you can go in and play a piece in front of a judge and get graded on it. So I did that for a while. And probably wasn't until I was 12 or 13 where I switched up instructors, because I kind of got bored with the classical stuff. I wanted to learn rock and roll. I wanted to get into something different. So I hooked up with a teacher who was big on 50s and 60s music, loved 50s and 60s. Him and his wife had a little duo that they did. And, he started teaching me the left-hand bass and everything, the walking bass, and just learning how to play chords in the right hand. And I guess part of that was to my detriment, because I really lost a lot of technique because of it. When I was learning classical, I was getting technique out of it. But, when I started getting into playing rock and roll and stuff like that, I lost all that.
Boogie woogie?
Yeah, I lost all that technique. So it kind of bummed me out, but it was fun. It was fun because I was finally started playing music that people knew, and obviously being a band geek in high school, you weren't very popular. So, I grew up listening to Patsy Cline. My mom always had Patsy Cline, Elvis, stuff like that. That's what I grew up listening to. But it wasn't till I started really getting into into the rock and roll side where I picked up Billy Joel. And I didn't, being from Long Island, Billy Joel, my hometown. So, it was kind of like, shit, he's a badass piano player. Might as well start picking up his stuff. And that's really when I first started learning how to play. Nice. And I'd say it was around that time I started finding my voice too, where I could actually sing. And, my voice was still changing. So it was difficult to find what songs I could actually sing and not sing. But yeah, I mean, I stayed on with the 50s and 60s music and Billy Joel. And it wasn't really till high school where, I wasn't very popular and, nobody really gave a shit about Billy Joel. So I started listening to more heavier rock at the time, like Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. So I eventually evolved into different types of music. So I think it gave me a pretty decent background. But kind of like Joey was saying, it wasn't until I moved out west to really where I got into country music, because I was told the same thing by an old timer that I used to play with. He said, if you're going to make any kind of money playing music here, you got to play country. And, that's from New York. I knew nothing about country. Patsy Cline was the closest I ever got to listening to country music. So I did. I started learning country, and I think Brooks and Dunn was the first artist I picked up as far as country went, and started learning how to sing country. Started developing that twang. I would actually work on it, just sit there and sing along with the CD and see how close I could get. And it's kind of where it all, I don't want to say went downhill from there, but but that's where it kind of took off. I'm just kept playing country after that, because I knew that's where the money was. Not that I still love Billy Joel. I still love the rock and roll side of things. I don't have the same influence as you guys have, obviously, because I grew up playing a different instrument. I wish I would have learned guitar at a young age. With the help of Joey, I've learned a little bit on guitar to be dangerous. It's fun, but it's hard. The hardest thing for me is the positioning. To go from here to here is very difficult for me. So that's been my biggest challenge, trying to learn guitar. But I maybe eventually when I have time to sit down, I would like to learn how to play a little bit better on it.
Nice.
But yeah,
when was your first band?
Well, we had a kind of like you guys. We had a high school band that we played family barbecues and stuff like that. We never got paid to play or anything like that, but we just did it for fun.
Yeah.
So
what about actual paying?
It was in high school.
Gig.
My first actual paying gig, I was 18, and I got hired on by this guy who was it was the weirdest situation. He was a very strange dude, but he had some kind of record deal he had going on, and they liked the way I play keyboards. I learned all his music. I auditioned for the band. Everybody loved me, so they hired me. I was obviously the youngest in the band. I was drinking beer at 18 at bars, which was interesting.
Did he work out of the back of a van?
He should have. His name was Mike Lee. I'll never forget it. He had an autistic son, which I felt bad for. It was very, very tough with his son. He had a hard time, but his whole album was written around his son.
He's now a senator.
Mike Lee?
Yeah. He's a senator.
He's not a senator. He's proud. This guy's probably doing some time somewhere. He's very interesting.
And my brother's former mission companion, actually. Or was on his mission, at least. That's another story. The truth about beer and Mike Lee.
And Mike Lee, right? Yeah, exactly. My first band was called Casablanca Blue.
Casablanca Blue.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Blue.
I love it.
Other than it's just a great sound to it.
Wasn't my idea. I was just kind of along for the ride. I have to put a picture one of these days of the band. But when we finally fired Mike Lee, it was it 5 of us? Yeah, we had a sax player, we had female singer, guitar, bass, and drums, and me on keys. So it was fun. It was a neat experience for me.
Nice.
So yeah. So my story is not as exciting as you guys.
It was great.
I got my pulse going.
What's that?
It got my pulse going.
I was just noticing your guitar's crooked too on the wall there, Keith.
It is, isn't it? You had to point it out.
Yeah.
Is the holder crooked though, or is it spun?
I don't know.
Let's put a level on that.
It's all Jeff's fault.
Yeah. Don't call me.
And you guys, this whole show, I have been trying to correct my. I think I'm crooked. It's crazy.
Well, I did notice since you pulled that nail out of the wall, it looks like your door straightened out. I don't know why, but
That's
did you guys
that you got into music and you didn't have anyone else in your family? You just did it. I wish it'd be fun to go back in time and not have that as an influence. And would I still pursue music? I hope so, because if I didn't have that, I have nothing. So it's I really wonder it'd just be interesting. So kudos to you, man, for pursuing it.
Well, and at the same time, I'm jealous of you guys because it's like I didn't have anybody growing up. You know what I mean? And to back up to the story, my friends never learned how to play an instrument after that. It was all just a fucking joke. And let's see if Keith actually goes through with it. And I did. None of them ever picked up an instrument. So we never played band together. It never happened. But no, I mean, I never had, other than my high school buddies that I got involved with, I didn't have anybody. Like my dad and I didn't have a lot in common growing up because they were into sports and I took a different direction. I mean, I did play sports, but music became such a part of my life. I mean, I would sit down, I'd get up 2 hours early before I went to school and I'd be playing the piano. And as soon as I got off the bus and got home, I was playing the piano. So I would literally practice 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day. And I was just dedicated to it. I was hooked on it. And,
nice.
But again, I didn't have anybody to share that with. You know what I mean? My parents, obviously they loved to listen to me play, but my dad, when it came time to watch TV, it was like, all right, shut up. I'm watching TV now, stop playing. So, yeah. but it's cool. I mean, it's like I said, you guys had that. You guys had that, you can get together at family gatherings and play tunes and jam out. And it was fun. I never had that opportunity. So I guess in a way I'm kind of jealous of you guys in that respect, just because I didn't have that.
You don't need to be.
No, but it's a cool thing to have. That's awesome.
Well, Jeff, and Jeff, go ahead.
Oh, I say, but like Jeff said, I don't know that had I if I grew up that same way, Aaron didn't have that influence in my brother, you know, I mean, would we be here talking today?
Right.
You know, it's kind of,
Right.
I don't know what my life would have been like.
You could be in
I was
jail
just gonna say
right
because Gentry and I kind of lucked out. Oh, sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, you're good. I know there's a delay, so it's hard. Go ahead, finish.
I was just gonna say we lucked out with our high school. We've never even really talked about it. I would assume you would agree with me. So we went to a brand new high school. It had only been open for 2 or 3 years when we were sophomores, and so our sports team sucked. Like they were just a joke.
Yeah.
So the jocks thought they were cool, but they were the only ones who thought they were cool. Like no one else in the high school thought that the football team was hot shit.
Right.
And so actually being a musician and being in choir was like actually the cool thing to do. There was a lot of just cool kids in choir and we had fun. And so like to be in a band, to be kind of two of the main guitar players of our high school, that was a big deal. We were almost like the star quarterbacks. Well, Gentry was the star quarterback. I was the kid who was trying to keep up with him. But it's like, it was actually cool to be a musician in our high school, which was, and maybe other people who we went to high school would be like, yeah, keep thinking that's what we all thought of you. But in our world, it really did feel like, being the musician was actually the cool thing to do, not the sports.
Right.
Oh, I've always thought that to this day. I mean, it was cool.
Well, hell, you were homecoming king, man. It wasn't a football player.
No, I was homecoming second attendant.
Whatever. You were.
But I was homecoming world.
You were still there.
Yeah.
But I'm just so glad, like, really, because it made music just that much more fun, and people wanted to hear music. It wasn't like, oh, who are these geeks bringing their guitars to school again? It's like, no, these geeks are awesome. They brought their guitars to school again.
Crazy. Yeah, the crazy thing when I was in high school was that all the jocks were in choir with me.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, I mean, so.
Right on.
Yeah. It kept everything a nice level playing field for everybody for being cool.
Yeah.
Not that I was cool, but,
you
know, at least I
cool.
I wasn't a total loser by being in choir.
But I do have to say, Joey, that if you and I hadn't have met and got the band going and everything, I can't say where I would be right now, to be honest with you. I mean, I know we wouldn't be doing a podcast right now. But,
no.
But you know, you go back to when I disagreed before when you said you didn't think you were a great guitar player. And one of the biggest reasons I said I beg to differ with that is because I played with other guitar players before, and I have never had as easy a time playing with somebody as I have with you. And I really mean that. I mean, we played with Phil, who's a fantastic guitar player, but there was just something I didn't connect. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? With you, I've always connected. Even when we tried other guitar players, you know, to see if we can get a second guitar player on, I just can never connect with them like I connect with you. You and I, we just had that, you know, camaraderie when it comes to music.
No, that always clicked.
Yeah.
When it was just us two. And I kind of knew that when we first got going and we had a third or a second guitar player.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I felt threatened by him, but it was just like, there's too much going on right there.
Right.
And so I don't know.
Yeah, but
maybe I was jealous. I don't know.
I think you're a fantastic guitar player. I really do. I think, and I love the hell out of playing with you. I really do. I mean,
thanks, man.
It's always comfortable to play with you. So
it's a mutual admiration society here. So
it is interesting.
I love working with you.
How it just clicks or it doesn't click.
Right.
There's plenty of great musicians, and it's like if it just doesn't click, it's just not there. It's I say it jokingly, but really, I've always felt like I'm trying to keep up with Gentry. Like it's just a fact. He is far, far ahead of me, and always will be, and that's fine. I love it. For me, I like it because it gives me something to work toward.
Right.
But it's Tim, our buddy, who we were hoping would be able to hop on. He was the same way. When I met him when I lived in California, it was just instant. It's like we strum the same. We like the same music. Like it was literally we're the same type of guitar player. It was so much fun. It's just so easy to connect. And then Gentry and I have always been that way. It's just so easy to connect. Mainly because Gentry's adaptable to me. I'm not just saying this is lip service, but really I always feel bad. But it's like I can lay down just a nice, good rhythm for Gentry to shine and to just do what he does. And it works. And I feel like it just works really well. And it worked in high school, and it still works to this day.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like a marriage, you know. I mean, a marriage is going to work if chemistry works. You know,
Well, I
with
mean, the
bands.
divorce rate is like 50%.
Yeah, but that chemistry just must have been off course. The Beatles broke up too. So.
Well, okay, that's a good point. Yeah, me and Jeff have been together for like what?
Way longer than the Beatles.
And way
Suck
longer.
it, Paul.
Yeah, I think working with Keith, it's the longest I've ever been with one project. You know.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, I'm curious what your guys' take is on this. So my question to you would be, since we've all been playing music for roughly the same amount of time, what are your thoughts on how the music industry has changed over the years? I mean, honestly, do you think it's ever going to revert back to where it was? Do you think it's just going to keep going down?
It's going to keep going down. That's how I see it. You know, I mean, and you've been able to track the progression of the definition of music success over the years. I mean, I think beginning with the fact that, I don't know, this is going to be way too much information, but by the time the Beatles got started, they didn't think they would make it because guitar bands were on the decline.
Right.
And they were told that by, I can't remember the record label, but, you know, we're not interested in you. And then, but albums used to be a thing. And then you saw albums were no longer a thing. It was singles, you know.
Right.
And then with the rise of Napster and LimeWire and all those file sharing things, I mean, singles became the thing. And then the internet became a thing. And, you know, it's like nobody's interested if it's not something you can download for 99 cents on iTunes, you know. And it's just a true shame. And I will say that, and I'm sorry, I hijacked this conversation, but
no, you're good. I want to hear your.
Well, you know, one of my favorite bands ever, not so much anymore because they've gotten away from their own selves, but the Arctic Monkeys are touted as really the first band that made it entirely on social media. You know, and goodness, I've lost my train of thought.
Sounded like a helicopter going over someone's house.
Yeah.
That's probably my house.
The Arctic Monkeys, social media.
Right? Yeah, they're watching you.
Oh, okay. So they deserve it because they're actually good. I mean, they're really good. But you know, nowadays, like everybody can just download music software and record their stuff and edit it into like infinity to make themselves seem like they're good musicians, you know, and then just post it on SoundCloud, post it on the internet. And it's just degrading the talent that it used to require to stand out and
Right.
you know, and that's sad to me. And I think mainly because like I was born in 82. But I grew up on the music from the 50s and 60s and 70s. And back in those days, it required talent. It required like something special to stand out. Now it just doesn't. And even if you have less than zero talent, you can make it sound like you do with technology, auto-tune, quantization of, and it sucks. And now there's like more music platforms than almost anything else, and people are just getting known for no good reason.
Right.
They have no talent. It sucks, and plus the music nowadays is just garbage anyway. I mean, it's been watered down. Music today is like the Bud Light of beers. I mean, it's just mass appeal, lowest common denominator. I hate it.
Easily digestible shit is the problem. There's still good musicians out there. We all know it.
Yes.
You still to this day can come across a band that is new, that's only been around for a couple of years, and they're amazing. They're talented. It's unbelievable. But they're not popular. They're not going to get the mass appeal. And that's the problem with it. It goes into the mold of your typical capitalism of anything, and coming from a guy who works for a Fortune 100 company. But it drives me crazy because it's how cheap can we do this? How quick can we do this? And how much money can we make off of it? And music is the same way. It is a formulaic thing that they just plug into the machine and spit out, and the masses keep eating it up. And it's across every industry. It happens in the rock world, the pop world, the country world. Right. Bro country is so guilty of it. But then you get like the Tyler Childers of the world, the Jason Isbells, the Sturgill Simpsons. There is amazing country artists out there doing amazing things.
You got to put Chris Stapleton into that team.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. But it's like, exactly, there's amazing talent, but then it's just the garbage that just comes forward because the masses just like, yep, I'll spend money on that. It's easy to digest. It's easy for me to understand.
Well, that's it. It goes in one ear and it's pleasing, but it goes out the other. And I bet, in the span of 10 years or the last 10 years, will there be one song that comes out that will remain a classic?
Yeah,
exactly. That's, I mean, like we had from the days of yore, the glory days of rock and roll. I mean, there's so many great classic rock songs that are always going to stand the test of time.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think we're going to have any more of those.
But I think, and maybe you disagree with me, but I think the record companies are to blame for that. I mean, because they took kind of like what you said, Jeff, is, they found a cheaper way to doing it. They targeted a certain look. They targeted a certain age group. You know what I mean? If you were past a certain age, forget it. You had no chance to make it in the music industry anymore. You had to be between 18 and 27 or whatever their quota was. But then they took, and a great example of it is country music, because you see those guys who make these YouTube mashups and they put 8 songs in one and it all sounds like the same fucking song. And that's the thing. They find a formula that works. They stick with it. They push it. They know they can make money off of it. And that's what they do. So it doesn't matter how much fucking talent you have. If they can make you sound like Garth Brooks or whoever it is, that's the formula they're going to go with. And that's the crap they keep pushing out.
That's why I believe there's one genre of music left in the world, and it is pop. Think about it. Country is not country anymore.
No, it's not.
Rock isn't rock anymore. It's all pop. Because what is pop? Popular.
Right.
And, I don't know what it is, but I mean, country isn't country. It's this pop crossover shit that's just like taken over, and rock is the same way. I mean, there's no, and you're right, Keith. I mean, Stairway to Heaven will never happen again.
No.
It couldn't. There's no way it would get radio play.
No.
Exactly. Are you kidding me? Like what? A 6-minute song? Like
it's funny.
Well,
Rick
it's
Beato
a 24-hour.
Yeah,
it's a 24-hour song now. It's the same song being played back to back to back with a different artist.
So here's kind of
maybe different lyrics.
I have this strange ability to play along to a song and instantly know it. Jeff's always thought that's been pretty impressive, but what he doesn't
see
the
only reason you're still my friend. It's an amazing talent. I love it.
Whew. Okay. Well, I'll just keep it going then.
Do it.
But it's not that impressive because everything released in the past fucking 20 years is exactly the same.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, there's my secret.
Wait. Are we talking 1564?
But anyway, it's frustrating.
But what's sad, what's really sad to me is, so technology has evolved so much. Like you said, there's so many music platforms now. There's so many ways for good artists to get out there, and it doesn't seem like we've made that connection with that. You know what I mean? So the guys that are truly talented, the bands that are truly talented, you would think it'd be easier now for them to come through because they don't have to deal with record labels anymore. They don't have to deal with all the PR bullshit. It's easy for them to put stuff out there. So why hasn't that happened? Why do you think that there's people out there that aren't looking for good music anymore? Do you think we've just got so desensitized to it that?
No, I mean, because I know I exist and I know I'm still just pining for the days of good music. There's gotta be other people out there like me. I mean, here's like an example for me, like the band Greta Van Fleet, right? I think Jeff might have been the one to kind of, I think you did send me the first song I ever heard from them.
Yeah.
And I instantly love them because they unintentionally, because I've read interviews, they didn't mean to emulate Led Zeppelin, but they do sound quite a lot like them. And they had never heard of Led Zeppelin when they first started playing. I think, what are the chances of that? You know,
Right.
they sound everything like them, but hadn't heard of them. And now everybody is criticizing them for just being a Led Zeppelin ripoff. And I'm like, first of all, that's not a bad thing. It's been 40 years since they like, we need that again, and not like fuck Led Zeppelin. We need Nicki Minaj. You know, like anyway, it's just frustrating. Because I love Greta Van Fleet because they do sound like Led Zeppelin.
Right.
Because that's almost the last time music was good. You know, except for the 90s, which Jeff and I agree on. You know, but I'm kind of all over the place. But basically, R.I.P. Good music. I mean, it's just gone. You know, in my opinion.
Well, it's gone from the spotlight.
Right.
Like I say, it's there. It's just hard to find.
Yeah.
Which that amazes me too, though, that these guys, because you even think, I don't know why it dawned on me just a few months ago, they were talking about, you know, a record going platinum. And what is it? 1 million sold or something. And it's
I think
platinum.
it's a million.
Right, million sold.
That's nothing. 1 million records is platinum. Like, you think that's like the industry standard of success. What, there's 300 plus million people in the US alone.
Right.
So it's like, any point being that it's like, okay, that's why these smaller bands, I mean, right above me here, the Deer Hunter, this album, it's backwards, I can't point. But anyway, the Deer Hunter, a band that Gentry and I both love. DEAR, not to be confused with Deer Hunter, DEER. But anyway, the dude is totally indie, tours all the time though, records, makes his own guitars, but like, and the bands that he tours with are the same way, just incredibly talented young guys who you will never hear on the radio, but they can make a living off of it. Because if you even get 200,000 people buying your record, 300,000 people downloading your songs, whatever it is, you know, buying $20, $30 to buy a ticket to your show, you can have a living. They're not rich. They're, you know, but it keeps them going, which I guess point that I'm getting at is like, it gave me some hope. It's like, I started thinking like, all right, cool. These guys at least can exist. They don't have to have jobs at the Home Depot while they're playing guitar at night. It's like they can truly just make music and really good music. So it gives me hope that I will continually find more and more good music.
Yeah. And the audience is there for it. Because
totally.
I don't remember where I heard this. Maybe I heard it from you, or I don't know. But I heard that, you know, when you take music radio, 70% of what's played on music radio is classic rock. So
really,
your audience is a 70%, you know, take on listening to classic rock. So
that warms my heart. It really does. You know.
So. Yeah, like I say, that new stuff, I mean, it might be pleasing to the ears, but it's not memorable. You know, it's not going to be something you're going to go back to because they replace it with the same thing with the different artists and maybe different lyrics, you know?
Yep.
So
it's a sad thing, you know? And so I don't know about, I mean, in no way am I like trying to make myself sound like I'm a visionary or any kind of way, but I'm just a purist. And so I absolutely refuse. I mean, not that I haven't done it. I've broken my rules, you know. But if I'm hearing music for the first time, if it's like more than 50% electronic, I'm like, I don't want to hear it. You know, like the only bands I tend to respect are ones that use real instruments, you know?
Right.
It's like certain bands nowadays, and Jeff and I talk about this, but like Maroon 5 or like, why do they even have a guitarist in the band anymore?
Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons. Like
that dude went to Berkeley, their guitar player.
Berkeley.
Like, you went to Berkeley and you turned into this?
Right.
Like, what a shame. You're so talented. Sure, do they write catchy songs that are easy to tap your toe to?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Never deny that. But they're not using their talent the way that they could.
It's like you like music nowadays. Like you don't need to go to Berkeley. You need to go to MIT.
Yeah.
Right.
Quick
And
back
I need
here.
another-
Sorry, switching to the Wicked Hazy.
Ah,
Ooh, so
I'll tell you that stuff. If that's all you're drinking, that is delicious.
So good.
I need to.
It is funny. It's like now that I'm done with my Voodoo Rangers, all I have is Wicked Hazy in the house right now. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Time out.
Time for
I'm a
another
fan of a
beer.
lot of head,
Nice.
but that's a bit too much head.
That's a lot of. Look at that thing. It looks like one of those old lava lamps.
Yeah, that does. We're gonna have to let that sit for a little bit there. Yeah,
You know,
it's
earlier
definitely interesting.
you were
Go ahead.
talking about your dad and his character of
Yeah.
Elvis.
Yep.
You know, you can help us, but this year we have to do our Christmas show.
Yeah.
It has to be starring Elvis because
Oh, absolutely.
we talked about it. I think every year since we started this, I kept saying, I got to get my brother to come on and do
That's funny.
our Christmas
Yeah,
show.
no, he totally should.
You know, as
And he
Elvis
needs to
is.
just be on one of these music shows. Just
Yeah,
he does.
absolutely,
in
for
general.
sure.
He enjoys beer. He doesn't study it to the level that I like to study it, but he definitely enjoys beer and has a great local brewery in his town too. So I'm sure he'd love to come on and talk about that.
Yeah, what's the name of that beer? That brewery?
Silver Reef.
Yeah, Silver Reef.
Yeah, they really do.
You said
Like,
they had a really good summer beer, right? That was
They've
like
got a Mexican lager
a Mexican lager. Yeah, that's
that they
what I'm
make.
talking about.
If I was saying summer beer, that's probably what I would have been talking
Yeah,
about. But yeah,
that's what I'm
Agua del Diablo. Yeah, it's good. I actually did a blind beer taste test with my dad. We did like Corona, Pacifico, or maybe it was Pacifico, Dos Equis, and theirs, the Agua del Diablo, and it won. There's just more
Yeah.
to it. There's something.
Sounds like more guitar pedals we're gonna have to acquire.
Right.
Definitely, absolutely. Which is, speaking of, I didn't know that it's Dos Equis.
Dos
I was at a Mexican restaurant with my dad, and I was
Dos
like,
Equis.
"Yeah, I'll have a Dos Equis." And the lady's like, "Okay, one Dos Equis." And then I got another one. I'll have another Dos Equis. She's like, "Okay, another Dos Equis." I'm like, "What are you being snooty for? Dos Equis? Like it's Dos Equis. Come on! Like who's the white guy? Who knows?" Like,
Oh,
and I
I
had to
brought
look
in
it
the
up.
pussy.
Like, yeah.
This is the only pussy
up,
I've gotten. Oh, say hi.
Cute little
Cutie.
thing.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Dos Equis, have you had their salt and lime?
Mm-mm.
It's good.
Wait,
That's
a beer
another
that
one I
already
pick up.
has salt and lime in it?
Yeah,
I didn't know they had that.
yeah.
No,
it's,
I haven't had that.
it's tasty.
Huh. Right
It's
on.
one of those after you mow the lawn type of beers too. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Very cool.
See, I need to get off the IPA after mowing lawns.
That's
No wonder I feel like shit all the time.
How much mowing do you do during the wintertime?
0.
Let's see. When does the Georgia mowing season start? It's got to be coming up on you soon, right?
It starts whenever I finally get the motivation to do it. It's,
Whenever the
I
ground
live on
thaws
half an
out.
acre, and that's a bitch with a push mower.
You
So,
need to get a riding lawnmower, man.
I've looked at it, but
Now, how close are you to Atlanta?
an hour and a half. If
Oh,
traffic
okay, so you're fairly close then.
Yeah. So, and kind of going way back into this conversation, I just found out that there's an Allman Brothers band museum, not too far outside of Atlanta. And
Yeah.
Really?
Is it called Eat a Peach?
nope,
That's a great album. By the way.
Eat a Peach. Yeah.
Eat a Peach.
There's I guess it's a house that they used to live in, and I can go in Dwayne Allman's bedroom, guys. And
Oh,
so
wow.
Nice.
I'm actually thinking about heading down there.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
You'd have to film it or something when you go.
I
If they
should.
let you.
I should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Then you
believe
got-
it's a band I really hated growing up
That
because
is
my
funny.
brother said they were really cool, and now I
Like,
I love the Allman Brothers.
yeah.
Everything they do is just really cool.
They're good.
Like my appreciation for them came later in life, but man, they were amazing. Jeff?
Nice.
Ooh,
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
that's a beautiful color.
It is.
Yeah, they definitely do a good job on that.
Wow.
It's got that
I'm not ready
perfect.
for one. I brought in the old moon
I was
haze.
going to try that here next.
Oh, nice. So you both. So yeah. So Keith, you're the one who mentioned it. I mentioned it to Gentry. He found it. Obviously, now you have it. I've yet to even find it. But
Really?
Oh, you haven't
Yeah.
had it?
no.
I'm going to be trying it here for the first time, but I got to clear the palate.
Clear the palate.
So yeah, I'll be interested. Have you had it before, Keith?
I did. I tried it. I
All right.
enjoyed it, actually. I did enjoy it.
What are your
Gentry said it was really
thoughts
good.
on it?
What are my thoughts about it?
Like how would you compare it to a typical IPA that you're used to?
It was actually a little bit more hoppy than I thought it would.
Yes, thank you. That's what I thought.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
It was a little bit more hoppy. But it was good, though,
Wow.
because it wasn't like, I don't know, it was hoppier, but it didn't, like, hit you like some of them hit you. You know what I mean?
Which surprises
You
me.
can,
You'd
you
think
can
Blue
taste the
Moon would be
hops,
super-
but yeah.
Yeah, they don't have the bitter.
You just think
units
it'd be
on
They
super
don't.
tame.
Because that was my first assessment of that. And I think I mentioned that to Jeff. You know, it's just hoppier than many IPAs. And then Jeff commented, but it's Blue Moon. I mean, you wouldn't expect them to come out with such a ballsy.
I
Right.
forgot that until it reminded me. I had a beer ready as a joke. When you were going to ask what's my favorite beer, I was going to make fun of Gentry and say it's Blue Moon.
Yeah.
Because he was on a date with this chick years ago, and she's like, "What's your favorite beer?" He's like, "Well, I like Blue Moon." And
Oh,
yeah,
she
I don't think you had a
castigated
second date, right?
That's funny.
Castigated me. For
This is
like,
left over in the fridge from my wife, so I want
That's
to defend
awesome.
myself there.
Oh, burn.
I actually like Blue Moon, though. I do think it's actually a good beer. But
So I want your opinion.
All right, here we go. I better. Pebblehead is still in my head. All right.
Do you smell that?
I mean, it doesn't smell like a juicy haze.
No, it doesn't.
So I'm gonna have to drink more to.
It's
we're
three
waiting with
sips,
such
isn't it?
Yeah.
bated breath, man.
It's missing something.
Some pretzels.
It's missing the juicy.
Yeah, it's definitely missing juicy, but definitely a lot bitter finish. But,
Like good or bad?
I probably wouldn't buy it again. What's your thoughts on it, though?
I don't know. I don't know if I would buy it again.
I need to try
I like
this.
Blue Moon.
Yeah, no.
What's
You don't
the,
I'm not a Blue Moon fan too much.
what's the ABV on it? I don't remember. What did you say?
Oh, this was 5.7.
5.7 is the ABV.
All right,
It
so
doesn't
it'll
say.
be a
It doesn't
liquor
list the
store for me.
IBUs though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need to know if I need to look in grocery stores or liquor stores.
Yeah. It doesn't give you the IBUs
It's
though.
in the grocery
surprisingly.
stores here in Georgia.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a fair take on it yet. I mean, because I've just, followed it up, or I followed up a Pebblehead.
Oh,
with
there's
it,
no comparison.
And,
Yeah.
there's- and the Pebblehead is just pleasant all the way through. So,
All right.
yeah.
I was going to
So
try
that's
to
probably
hurry
something
and
I think I might try it again, though, when it's all by itself, just to see.
Not mixed with something else.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's bitter, but the bitterness goes away quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it doesn't hang on.
Yeah.
So it says it's only 30 IBUs online.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
That seems low to me based on
It
how
does
is
seem.
very
It
low.
does seem low. Yeah.
Yeah, normally 30, you wouldn't even notice the bitterness.
Yeah. That's probably why it
Interesting.
dissipates so quick. But I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It has a. Maybe it's a dry, just more of a dryness.
Could be, huh? Not really
which,
bitter, but dry.
Yeah.
Okay, I have an idea. Everybody, without thinking, what's your favorite beer and favorite band? Go, Joey.
Oh, geez.
No, not me first.
Joey,
Jesus.
favorite beer, favorite
Oh,
band.
God. Something I pour from a can,
That's a cop out answer. Come on.
and something that rhymes with that would be Steely Dan.
Dan. Beer?
I mean, any kind of juicy hazy I love, and it depends on. I can't really do a favorite.
I can't.
One favorite beer, I really can't.
That's like saying like, what's the favorite breath you ever took?
Yeah,
Right.
Really.
Yeah, but I can't say Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Keith, go.
Beer, same thing. I can't pick a favorite beer, but musician wise, Billy Joel by far has always been my number one guy.
Billy Joel. Jeff, go.
It's so hard with the beer. All right. Ghost Rider White IPA. I seem to always go back to that. Like when I really 801 is the consistent go-to, but the Ghost Rider White IPA, it's an experience that I just love every time. Band-wise, I consistently, again, there's a million, but probably Thrice, honestly. I love those guys. They can melt my face. They can make me cry. And which is so funny because they're technically they're not a Christian band, but they are very Christian themselves, and it comes through in their music. But you would never hear their music and be like, "Oh wow, these guys are Christian." But anyway,
Striper, huh?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not familiar with Striper or their lyrics. But yeah, but it's like, and not being a religious person, but it's like I love it though. And even when their songs are just like in your face religious, it is so incredibly talented and clever in the wording and how they do it, and that I love it. I 100% respect it. They are putting their thoughts and their faith forward in a way that it's amazing. It's fantastic. And the music just is so damn talented. But anyway, there's more than you asked for. Ghost Rider and Thrice, if I had to put it on paper.
You got me into Thrice. I love it.
They're talented. Those guys take
especially
it to
the
another level.
Alchemy Index.
Yeah.
Your turn, Jeff.
yeah,
you don't
Mad
get it. You
Dog.
don't get out of this. You don't get out of it. You started it.
ABBA Michelob Ultra.
ABBA. Okay.
Such a mad dog thing to say.
Interesting.
I'm crazy.
Isn't
One thing I
Mad
will
Dog a
say-
malt beer? It should be Mad Dog. Yeah.
One thing
ABBA was the beer, and Michelob Ultra was the band.
was the band.
Right.
One thing I'll say about Christian music that, I was never into Christian music, and since I met Lindsay, I started getting into it a little bit. But I do have to say one thing about their music, and not even the lyrics, but their music itself is very uplifting. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every Christian song I've ever listened to, the music is very uplifting. It just makes you feel good inside. I don't know.
That's cool.
But,
Yeah, there are some bands that I like. Never mind, because I think the beer's taking over, and the brain's forgetting a lot of things.
What's funny, I grew up Catholic, so I spent years going to a Catholic church, And it wasn't until I moved out here where I actually went to a Christian church. And I was blown away. I mean, it was like going to a rock concert. You look at our background now, that's what the church looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, the lights came up and the music just hit you in the face. And I was like, am I in a church or a rock concert? What the hell am I doing? And I was just blown away. I didn't even listen to the lyrics. I was just blown away by the music. It was just incredible. I was like, holy shit, I think I found something else I like.
It's driving me crazy. I can't think of the band that I really like. That's the Christian band.
DC Talk.
No.
I remember we went to a skating rink when I was a kid growing up in Tennessee, Skate Center West. And they used to play a lot of DC Talk. Jeff, do you remember DC Talk? I mean, they were.
Talking about.
You need to check them out. They were just like a '90s Christian band, and I just remember roller skating to DC Talk, which was the band. And
you say DC, and my Mormon brain kicks in. Doctrine and Covenants.
Doctrine and Covenants.
Section.
Yeah. It was funny because DC Talk had.
Wasn't it 16? That's the word of wisdom, isn't it? Section 16. Is that?
What's the word of wisdom?
I don't know, Uncle.
Oh, that was good.
Actually, it's 32 if I remember right.
Oh, it's 32. Well,
Yeah,
I like to play cool like I don't know, but I know.
Okay, good, because I'm too far removed now.
Yeah. We're giving Keith way too much time to think about his favorite beer and drink, though.
I already said it. Oh, you're talking about Gentry.
Wait,
yeah, I didn't mind.
Say what?
Yeah, I didn't mind.
Yeah, it's not ABBA and
what was the band, though?
Billy Joel.
Oh, all right. Yes. Sorry.
You guys, like, since we're talking about religion and Billy Joel, do you want to know my story on that? Like, so I served a Mormon mission for like 10 months. And in Oklahoma City, and I was in this ghetto ass apartment in Oklahoma City, and I opened a drawer in the bathroom of my apartment in Oklahoma City, and there it was, a cassette tape of the Nylon Curtain album by Billy Joel. And that's my really first experience with Billy Joel. And the very fact of listening to that cassette tape on a Mormon mission was blasphemy.
And you saw that curtain as a place where you could go up and tap 3 times? See if you
Exactly. And I'll never get into heaven because I can't remember the code words. But the Nylon Curtain album, god damn it. Like, Allentown is the first song on that album. And then it goes into freaking, what is it, Laura?
Laura? Yeah, Laura's a good tune.
Which Laura is like, I still want to cover that song to this day. Like, I just love that song.
Well, dude, our old band.
What?
Our old band was based off of Billy Joel. Roberta.
Oh, yeah, Roberta.
Okay, Roberta. Do you know the song Roberta?
Yeah.
My favorite Billy Joel song for some reason. And it's about a prostitute named Roberta that he can't afford. And I named Roberta that. Yes, thank you, Jeff. So, like,
she's got a whole EP based off Roberta that is unbelievably good. He'll say it's shit, but it's good.
It's a great piano piece to play, Roberta. It's a cool piano piece.
And then you guys later, I wrote a song. So Roberta was the song that Billy Joel wrote from his standpoint.
Right.
I wrote a song later from the prostitute's standpoint.
Oh, really?
And it's like, yeah, exactly. Like, dear.
Oh, I got to hear this.
It's it's pretty. It's not bad. It's not bad. So about how she actually wants Billy to rescue her from her pimp.
Right.
Wow.
And the lyrics start out, "Dear Billy." And so I love Billy Joel. Billy Joel.
I've never even heard this song, dude. What the hell?
Have you not?
His original?
No.
Yeah, it's called. I can't remember. It's called Roberta, but it's from the prostitute's standpoint.
I was in your band called Roberta, and we didn't play the song Roberta. What is wrong?
Wow.
Well, there was no Beatles song called The Beatles.
Well, there should have been.
There
It would have
should
been the
have
greatest song ever.
Yeah.
I feel like the beer just hit all of us at the same time.
I think it did.
And you made me think of my number 2 band, which I'd like to get your take on. And that would be The Police.
Oh,
Ooh, interesting.
I have no qualms against that.
love The Police.
Sting is such a damn talented songwriter.
Seriously.
That guy understands music at a deeper level.
Yeah.
Love him or hate him, he knows music.
He did, yeah. He's a genius. He really is.
There's have you guys?
I mean, it made me think of Roxanne. That's why.
All right.
Great tune. I love Roxanne.
rock. In fact, so back when I was still living in Utah, I went to Savers, and you can buy like CDs for like $1, and I ended up picking up like the Police box set. And now I can't remember the first song on that, but it like sold me on the Police, because that's just a band that I never got too much into. But I'm still not. I don't know, man. I don't know how to describe it.
We got
there we go. Oh, you got the Traveler? That is awesome.
There's two things that you've mentioned, Joey, and it's two albums that I have. The Police.
I have a Chris Stapleton playlist on Pandora.
And yes, I'm wearing gray sweatpants. Audience, so is Gentry.
Gray sweatpants. Is there?
No, we saw the Police in concert. It's probably, man, at this point, it's probably been 10 years ago. It was kind of disappointing. It was so cool to see Sting play, but Andy Summers, dude, was losing it. It was like legitimately his guitar playing was not that good.
Wow.
It was weird. It was just like, oh, that sucks.
Well, I saw Sting by himself, and so it wasn't any of the other players. So he had incredible players on it. He had, I think, you know who Nathan East is? Oh, yeah,
bass player.
Yep. And then he had Russ Kunkel on drums.
I don't know Russ Kunkel.
He was James Taylor's drummer, and then James Taylor was married to Carly Simon.
Yes.
Right.
Well, then Russ Kunkel was married to Carly Simon after that. But anyway, he's a great drummer. So it was probably a 12-piece band, when I saw him, and it was incredible.
Nice.
Yeah. But
that's
anyway,
awesome.
Yeah, so I have Sting and the Police. I have a CD that's Sting and the Police, so it's got his own stuff plus, some of the Police stuff, and he just has a twisted mind when it comes to music, kind of like Gentry does.
Thank you.
He writes some interesting stuff that I love because it challenges your mind. That's why you remember it.
Right.
I've never been compared to Sting, but it's about time.
It's a great comparison, damn it.
Yeah, we'll have our listeners and watchers, or what do you want to call them, our
audience.
We'll introduce them to some live Gentry, and some live Jeff.
We need to for sure.
Yeah.
You guys talked about earlier about longevity and bands sticking around for a long time and really leaving their mark. I love going back now watching YouTube videos of older bands still performing and how they still sound like they did back in the day. And it's funny. I think I turned you on to it, Joey. Just really weird. I came across Toto doing Rosanna and Africa. And
that's another freaking great band.
I could listen to it. Like, I'll listen to it every night before I go to bed because I'm just the musicians are just, that drum riff on Rosanna is just fucking cool as shit. And it's just, cool. They're just so talented. Even I came across a recent Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb.
There we go.
And it was just freaking phenomenal. I mean, it was just so good. It was like, it sounded like the album sounded back in the day. And you compare that to what just took place at the Super Bowl. And, I feel bad because I'm not a rap person. I don't like rap. I didn't grow up liking rap. And I don't want to discredit their talent in any way because I'm sure it's a different type of talent that I'm not familiar with.
I like my music like I like my candy. Without the rapper. But given we're kind of old school when it comes to that. So there is a generation that does enjoy that kind of stuff. I mean, Lindsay was plastered all over the TV because she grew up with that kind of stuff, and my buddy and I are sitting there going, this fucking sucks. It's terrible. But I guess it has its place. But yeah, I mean, but those things they're not gonna stick around 30 years from now. You know what I mean? You watch Pink Floyd, you watch Toto, you watch, whoever is Sting, they're gonna sound like they sounded back when they released the records because we go back to that talent thing. It took talent to produce those records, so that talent's always going to be there. They weren't, it wasn't all engineering that made them sound good, or it wasn't all electronic shit that
anybody could play, So, but yeah, but we talk about watching people. I love that shit. I love watching, even when Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta redid Summer Lovin' and all that shit when they did it as they were older. It was just cool to see that. It was like, man, you guys still have it,
Nice.
It's really it's a neat feeling.
It's amazing that you like John
I
Travolta.
love Tears for Fears.
Earlier in the conversation, I feel like John Travolta is what ruined your life because you mentioned Saturday Night Fever and
and it's what got me into country. But did that ruin my life? No, I didn't ruin my life. But
keep talking. I got to take another break. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, John Travolta redeemed himself on doing Face Off.
Oh yeah, that was great.
I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
It's amazing. And Nick Cage, man.
Cage. What a twisted concept, right?
Oh my!
I love that movie.
Concept.
Honestly, like my favorite scene in that movie was when, like in the very beginning of the movie, when Nicolas Cage like grabs the ass of that choir singer, and just he's like got craziness in his eyeball.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's
But anyway. So funny story about Toto and Africa and what was the other song? Africa and Rosanna. So
yeah,
my favorite band, my band in high school, and this was like 96, 97, was Weezer.
Okay, Weezer, yeah.
Yeah, that's just kind of Weezer. And recently, in the past couple years, they've almost become like the band that's doing all these old classic covers. And have you guys heard their cover of Africa?
No.
It's crazy, but they're doing a lot of covers. And anyway, so Africa. Yeah, Africa. I never liked that song.
Right.
And I never liked Rosanna. It wasn't my gig, but I've always liked Weezer. And so I listened to Weezer's cover of that song and I still didn't like it. But then I kept listening to it and I liked it for some reason. And then because I like Weezer and because I don't know what it was. Now I'm a genuine fan of Africa and Rosanna. It's crazy.
Right. Right.
So
it's funny. I think I was the same way. I put Toto up there with Air Supply back in the day. To me, it was all elevator music to me. It was all bullshit stuff. Right. But now you go back and maybe it's because we've evolved so much as musicians over the years that we appreciate good music. Now we look at it from a whole different light. When you're 14, 15 years old, you're looking at it as like, yeah, that's a dumb song. But
here's something to think about.
Yeah.
Because let's talk about the bands of the 60s, 70s, 80s. They're raw musicians and all that.
Right.
You bring a band like Toto into the mix, they're all studio musicians. They played on everybody else's records and stuff. So they were so much more polished. Yeah. And so their stuff is kind of, when it came out, kind of would be like stuff today. It's too perfect, because it's so polished. Yeah. But now we know what today's shit is. It's hardly any musicians, where we go back to Toto's stuff and it's all pure musicianship.
Right.
And it's great.
Yeah, the video I watch, he's got like 4 keyboard players on stage. It's just like, and I think even one of the videos they had 2 drummers going. It just, like you said, it's raw talent, and it was so perfect because it was studio musicians, and you just don't find that anymore.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard new bands that are just popular as shit, and then you see them on like an award show, or you see them on the Super Bowl or something, and they sound like they've been playing in a garage. It's like, really? These guys are multi-millionaires? They suck.
Or the other thing that drives me crazy actually is the exact opposite. Like I had an old friend who was obsessed with the band Disturbed. And so he dragged me to a Disturbed concert, which I don't hate, but it's not my go-to. But I can hear it and be like, yeah, that's fun. Anyway, so it was Disturbed, Avenged Sevenfold, that style band. Anyway, we get to the show, not an amp on stage. It's all nothing but sets. It's a set. And it sounded exactly like the record. And it was annoying as hell because of it. It's like,
so it was Milli Vanilli, probably.
Yeah. Even if they were legitimately playing their instruments, there was clearly a click track being played because there were sounds coming off that stage that were not being played live. But yeah, exact opposite. It was too good. It was too perfect. If I go to a live show, I want it to be live. If I hear a sound, I want to see who's making that sound.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But anyway.
Yeah. It's the human element that makes things interesting.
Oh, totally.
When you take the human element out of it, then how do we relate to it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. And going back to our discussion earlier, is that there's almost no human element left. Because even back in the day when you were performing live, the technology didn't exist where you could fake it live.
True. Yeah, that's true.
And you paid good money to see the band that you loved.
Right.
Like even like when the Beatles played Shea Stadium in like 65, there's like been a lot of to-do made about the fact that they couldn't even hear themselves because they were literally playing this professional baseball stadium without even miking their goddamn amps. Like, so they couldn't even hear themselves, let alone like nobody could hear them,
Right. Yep. Yeah.
And that's how it used to be. But I would have paid $1,000 to see the Beatles and not even hear them because they were the Beatles, But and by the way, my dad said he was there, and I don't believe him. He was at the funeral procession of JFK Jr. He said he was literally behind. Wait, no, not JFK Jr. He said he was the guy doing this.
He was on the grassy knoll.
He was on the grassy knoll.
Well, like for all I know, he was like a shooter. But I mean,
and he coined the term "pardon my French." Seinfeld reference. But nowadays it's like everyone gets caught lip syncing. I mean, either Millie or Vanilli, kill themselves over it. I mean, it's a big
one
deal.
of them did.
I mean, Ashley Simpson, whatever. It sucks. It sucks because you don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a challenge for everybody. So, have you heard of Rick Beato, YouTuber?
Yep.
Go find him and go to his episode that is, it's what makes this song so great. And it's about More Than a Feeling by Boston.
Yep.
Watch that episode and it will blow your mind. Because, if you're talking about raw talent and back in a day when you couldn't do those manipulations with auto-tune and all that stuff, because he breaks down that whole song track by track. He isolates each track.
Oh, cool.
And it blew my mind listening to that one.
That's cool.
But
I think he did a video too. If it wasn't him, it was another one of those popular guys where he had a BPM monitor live and was playing songs from even like as early as the 90s, recently as the 90s. And there's no quantizing going on. The BPM speeds up 5, it drops 10, it goes up 3, but you would never notice it. The sound is amazing. And there's another channel I found where a guy takes songs like that and he does quantize them, and he quantizes the guitar solos, and they sound stupid. It ruins it. But I think it was Beatos who first pointed out, if I'm remembering right, that it's like these songs move, and it's what you like about it. There's a motion to that.
Yeah, and it's what grabs your attention because it's got a human element to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who couldn't join us this episode, Tim, like he had recorded a song. Jeff, when was that song recorded? Like 10 years
dude,
ago?
That was like before I even met him, over 20 years ago. No, it was literally like 20 years ago.
So I had the good fortune of like adding drums to it just recently. And Tim couldn't understand how I could add drums to it because he thought he was all over the map, BPM wise. But he wasn't, because mathematically, scientifically, if you try to clock it,
it would be
place. But like it flows in such a human way that it's almost imperceptible when you're trying to play along with it because it's close enough.
Yeah.
And it's just that human element of, how a song breathes, and it was amazing. So, I have another question about Boston for you guys.
Okay.
Have you ever heard that? Who was the guitarist in Boston?
Tom Scholes.
Tom Scholes. Did he not use an amp?
Well,
versus going
I'm
direct.
not sure in the beginning.
I
When he was because they recorded in his basement where they did all the recordings, and he created that Rockman amp, which was like the first kind of what's the word? Too much beer. What's that word? Modeling. There you go. Kind of a modeling amp, but it. Because his stuff is so over the top, overdriven, but it doesn't have like a big muff, aspect to it. It's just like an amp that's just really pushed to the limits. But to get that sound, you would have to be playing extremely loud. So I'm not exactly sure what he did.
Because I've heard that More Than a
Feeling,
down. Like the recorded version of More Than a Feeling, like he did not use an amplifier. But it wasn't direct either, Jeff. Like it was something else. And maybe it was that Rockman.
Yeah, I'm not sure when he created or when he built the Rockman, but it's probably, I know it came from that era.
I had no idea.
So, yeah. Now
We just got
that.
So we
You
got
can get all that with a beer. Or, a guitar pedal.
Exactly. So Tim texted, there's a reason he didn't make the show. Sorry, guys, we had a cat emergency last night, and I didn't get back from the vet ER until late. The cat swallowed a long elastic hair tie thing and a damn leaf. She's going to be okay, but it was traumatic. I hope it went well. We shouldn't be laughing because that is like, we're too many beers deep. But Tim loves his cats. He is such an awesome cat owner.
Pussy gets in the way of everything.
Seriously. Yep. It's the best intentions, but it'll mess you up.
Best.
No, but I'm glad to hear the cat is okay. But we need to do another show with Tim because Tim is such
we definitely
cool,
will.
fun musician.
Well, I think this is going to be
one of many.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the core group, including Tim on this one. I think we should continue on our music episodes. I'd like to, in the future, talk about the lyrics like we talked about. I also like to talk about, songwriting. I mean, I'd love to know, Gentry, your method, how you go about, writing music. I mean, I think that'd be a great episode if we all kind of talk about anything we've written in the past, and how we went about it. I think it'd be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
So, and I've got, I've got a buddy one of my buddies I went to high school with, he'd like to do a show with us too. I think I mentioned it before about talking about the B-sides to albums, kind of going over that a little bit. So I think it'd be fun to do.
Nice.
So we got plenty more shows coming up with all of this. That's for sure.
I will say, as a bit of foreshadowing, I mentioned earlier in the show today that the Critters song that I ripped off was, I can't remember the name of it, but that was the B-side of Mr. Dayling's Sad, or Mr. Dayling's Sad. Do you guys remember that song? No. Anyway, B-sides have been an important part of my life because I've ripped them off.
No one will know this because it's a B-side.
We'll cut that out.
I think anyone would notice because they're B-side.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, this has been a great conversation.
It has.
I loved it.
It's been a lot of fun.
That's been fun.
Good beer. You go back to Disturbed. Disturbed's not a band I would ever listen to in a million years.
No.
But when they did Sound of Silence, they blew me away.
Yeah, that was cool.
I mean, I was just blown away by that version of it.
The Simon and Garfunkel song?
Yeah. You never heard it?
No.
Oh, dude, you got to hear him do it.
The dude's got a voice. No doubt
Pretty
about that.
amazing. Yeah.
I'm skeptical.
I would never listen to Disturbed in a million years, ever. I saw the Saturday Night Live skit or whatever it was, a Jimmy Kimmel skit, whatever it was. Yeah. And I was just, I couldn't fucking believe it. I was blown away. I was like, really? This dude who screams all the time, this is his voice? I couldn't believe it. So,
well, that's what blows me away about, and again, you know, I know people hate me for this because I don't like rapping and rappers and that, but when I hear a rapper sing and some of the voices they have just blow me away. One of my favorite album or CDs that it's digital download. I can't say I ever bought the actual thing, you know, but it was Queen Latifah had a CD or an album or whatever you want to call it of some really cool just songs.
Speaking of songs,
God,
I gotta use the bathroom.
she's got an amazing voice. It's just beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she does a version of 10 cc's I'm Not Alone.
All right.
It's really good.
I'll have to check that out.
So,
I had no idea.
yeah, I didn't either. Till I heard something, because I listen to the jazz stations once in a while, and there was, I can't think of the song that she did. It wasn't that one, but there was another one that caught my attention, and I heard it was Queen Latifah, and I go, what the fuck?
Nice.
No way. Yeah.
well, you know, you wonder if they get a lot of pressure, like we talked about. You know, the record companies, they go with what sells, they go with what's hot. So, do they sell their soul to whatever's going to be marketable? But they really have this hidden talent. You know, they're really good singers, they're really good musicians.
I'd imagine it happens.
You know, I mean, look at Bruno Mars. I mean, I'm not a big fan of all his songs, but the dude's fucking talented.
Dude is
No doubt
talented.
he's talented.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, so, you know, it's like, okay, you're talented, but this is what's going to sell, you know, so want to talk about you being a millionaire and the dumbest song ever written, you know, but he's so talented. It's like, it's almost beneath him to do a song like that. You know, I mean, I don't know. I just think just like Hollywood, I think some of these musicians, they sell their soul just to make it big, and they have to really put aside what they're really talented at, you know.
Which I can't totally blame them. You're still a musician.
No,
yet you're literally making an amazing living off of that, even if it's not exactly what you intended originally.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's no different than me switching allegiance from rock to country. You know,
right.
Yeah,
I've had to do it because of
got to make a living.
Make a living. So,
which I think, by the way, is an amazing shift. So good on you.
But I don't know. I mean, is earlier country is really a lot like classic rock, though, as far as like patterns go, and it's not that much different.
Yeah, the 90s country was that way. But I started back in the 80s.
Okay, so you started with country western.
No, it's still country.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like Steve Wariner and Alabama. Yeah. You know, this was all prior to the 90s stuff. Yeah. Where Garth Brooks really did change country music, you know, for a more aggressive type of sound.
Nice.
So, but the point is, you know, I did sell my soul. You know, I mean, so I can't blame any of the rappers out there that do that style, because that's what's paying the bills, even though they've got amazing singing voices, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Jeff, I don't know.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Do you remember the gym teacher at high school named Garth Rushforth?
Yeah.
Remember him? Anyway.
Yeah.
He told me once, if I ever want to make money in music, I need to write country songs.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of parallels what you guys were saying about.
you're from Nashville. How did you not know that already?
I don't know, but I did.
Well, this has been fun, guys.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. We'll have to definitely do more of these. I think it'd be cool. People get a kick out of it. So.
Cool.
We could always
Tim's cat. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah. we can edit it and throw in your YouTube video at the end and the credits. You know, we can do that.
Not necessary.
You have all kinds of fun.
I'll send you a better video.
Okay.
Well, just tell us if we can pull it up on YouTube. Then we can
bring it in.
We can bring it in. So
we could do anything.
Yeah.
Cool.
In fact, we might have to add one of ours.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be really fun.
I was gonna do some when you pop the Grolsch beer. I was gonna do like a real cool sound effect.
Confetti flying out.
Yep. Yeah. There's all kinds of shit we could do. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I can't believe we've gone that long.
That was 3 hours.
Yeah. I told my wife too. I'm surprised she hasn't been knocking on my office door.
Yeah.
Right.
What's going on down there?
Jeffrey's door.
And now I'm drunk, so I'm not going to be very helpful for the rest of the day.
Right.
You guys, I'm like 2 hours ahead of all of you. And
You
I'm
are,
so
huh?
impressed with you guys that you're drunk 2 hours earlier than I am.
Yeah, we still got 2 more hours we can drink.
Yeah.
Man.
Are you saying this felt like 5 hours to you? Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where's
so
Tim?
we're
We
saying-
need to go back in time so we can start,
Yeah.
an hour
Tim
early.
would have leveled it out for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
True, that's
Yeah,
true.
definitely. He'll be on the next one, hopefully.
Yes.
Cool.
Oh, good Lord. And by the way, like, not to be a foreshadower, but I have an amazing beer to share with you next time. So,
Cool.
We
already
like
know what it
amazing
is.
beers.
You already know what it is?
Yep.
sir.
Starts with a G, right?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, man.
Who knows?
The heart of rock and roll.
Your
yeah.
beer's gone. How
My
are we going
beer's
to do
gone.
a toast for the
We can still toast. We always do. We always toast at the end with nothing left.
with empty beers?
Like an
I
ending
could pee in.
toast.
I could pee in a cup. It'll look like beer. It'll be close enough, and just
Just won't be as cold.
make sure we clank and don't drink.
Drink that last one too quick. The last one I've got, Blue Moon.
Oh, there he goes.
It was meant as a joke, but it's for real.
You're making
now.
fun of me.
Well, it's like we went from morning to night, right?
Right, pretty much. Pretty much.
Oh, whatever we call this episode, this has been the truth about beer and that episode.
That episode.
And a damn good time.
Yeah,
a damn good time.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers,
Cheers,
everybody.
guys.
Cheers.
Thank you for jumping on with us.
Yeah. Good times.
Oh, look, I have a little sip. I have a sip left.
Oh, there you go.
There's a little.
You had a story about that when I played at a nudist colony. Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
are you
yeah.
serious?
Yeah. So, well, I didn't need a guitar strap after a couple of them walked out looking pretty good. You know?
That's awesome.
His own guitar stand.
We should have a nudist colony episode.
Well, that was an interesting time in my life.
I bet it was. I bet it was. Oh.
Yeah.
Guys, I have not Googled Georgia nudist colonies. I have not.
You probably don't want to.
You know, I'd played at this nudist colony a couple of times, and the first 2 times was like, no, I don't want to see any of this stuff, you know, because it was mostly old people. And then the third time we played there, well, the story is I played in a 3-piece band, and our keyboard player would play bass, you know, left hand, or he had pedals and stuff, and he'd kick them. And so that's how we did the first 2 things, you know, so it was just me, drummer, and him. Well, the third time we'd hired a bass player, and he was really apprehensive about going out there. So I don't want to play a nudist colony, you know. Go, oh, no, nothing ever happens. It's easy, you know. It's just you won't see anything that you like anyway. You know? It'll be good. And so he said, "Okay, we'll do it." And it happened to be they called it a formal night. You know, I know what that means. Well,
So they're totally
What it meant is
naked and wearing like a bow tie.
they were. It's where all the really good-looking people came out.
Oh, Jesus.
And they were wearing teddies and, you know, the girls and stuff. And then the teddies didn't last very long. And, you know, they were out there dancing, and it's an image that I can never erase, you know. I saw these little lips. Never mind. it was very interesting. And so, the band's all dressed. I mean, we didn't have to perform in the nude, but we were wearing swim trunks and stuff because we were swimming before and all that. And the two best looking females in the whole thing, they start walking towards the band and go, "You guys, take off your clothes, We go, and I'm playing my guitar, and the girls, they finally come up and they start tugging on my shorts, my swim trunks. And so I'm trying to, hang on to them and play the guitar at the same time. And then they got really smart. They grabbed my guitar.
Oh.
And then off came the gold swim trunk. And so I go, oh, crap, what am I going to do here? And I turn around and look at my drummer, and he stands up and pulls his right down. So then I turn and look at the bass player that we told everything was cool. And he happened to be standing next to the buffet table. And I look over, and he's standing up on the buffet table. Away from any danger.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, it was good. It was memorable anyway.
I bet it was. My one of my buddies. There it is. There's your picture.
Little
Oh yeah.
right there.
Jeff, I legitimately want that photo for my home.
Yeah. So
You guys don't understand, Joey. So much of your history is part of my own, just because for as long as I've known Jeff, I've known about that photo.
And I had your guys' big Stanley Stone banner as my backdrop in our old band room.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, that picture was taken at the Utah State Capitol.
Didn't we?
Or no, that one wasn't. That one was on stage. I remember that was from a. That was strictly a photo shoot. That one.
Okay.
It was the. There's one where we're standing, on the stairs in the Capitol. That's one I'm thinking of.
I know my dad has told me, but who's this guy?
That's Russ Hoskins.
No, that's Russ.
No, I mean no, that's Russ. I'm sorry. I was going to say Rudy. Randy Stewart. We called him
Randy
Rudy.
Stewart. The name rings a
Randy
bell.
Stewart. Yeah.
Was he Keith?
That guy. Well, we had two vans that we hauled all the gear in. One van was just Randy's, and then the other van was everybody else's stuff, because he had a Hammond B3, had a Rhodes 88. He had two big speaker. They were Ampeg, actually PA speakers, but he used those to play his keys through. Then he had the Leslie speaker that we stuck up on top of one of them.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
And what else he had? He had a Hofner or Hohner D9. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Horner?
Yeah. The clavinet.
Yeah.
Those weren't light either. And then he had a Steiner Parker synth. And then what did he have? There was a string ensemble machine that he had. So he had 5 big keyboards that we hauled around everywhere. And
they weren't heavy. I remember
they
freaking Rhodes is heavy.
Yeah, we played at this bar in Park City that had a spiral staircase. That's the only way you could get up to the, and it was one of the metal ones. I mean, it's not like a enclosed one. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
The old wrought iron spiral staircase. Yeah. We carried a Hammond B3 up that sucker.
Oh, Jesus.
That's insane.
Yeah. So good days, good times. Yeah.
You know what? You know how much it cost to buy a Rhodes today? I saw one about a year ago. It was almost $3,000 they wanted.
Really?
For it. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
When I first started playing keys, you can rent those at the music store. You could rent them for a couple $100.
Yeah. We used to be able to buy them for cheap too, because you could also buy a Hammond B3 back in the early 90s for super cheap, but that's why everybody was really, this digital, that's what's gonna, take us through all these modeling stuff. And then it's like, just something's missing in that sound, where it takes that Hammond B3 through a Leslie to really
give it that kick.
What they call that? The whirling.
That was a Leslie speaker.
Yeah. What they call that? The whirling Leslie?
No, it's just a Leslie. That's all we ever called it.
I was thinking the same thing because it would spin around.
It had
Uh-huh.
that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was in it. So yeah, it had the horn at the top that spun, and then the basket underneath was where the big speaker was, like either a 12 or a 15, and it spun the opposite direction of the horn.
All
And so it gave you
That's
that.
what that gave that effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gives that very off
Almost like a wah sound. Like it was like a
wobble.
Remember, yeah. Like
It's a
wobble
wobble
sound.
effect.
Yeah.
But
All right.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a picture of me and Gentry in high school in our band and wearing girls' t-shirts at one of our gigs to show the difference of generations, that you guys were just like badass and we were not. But I couldn't find the picture. But we'll have to find it. Maybe Gentry's got it.
Gentry got it.
It was obviously a joke, but I didn't realize actually the song Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden, they use the Leslie speaker in that. As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, duh, you go and listen to the song. It's like clearly they're running the guitar.
Well, that's really popular for the
that,
guitar.
yeah.
Joe Walsh has that as his, it's kind of in his constant gig. Yeah, I mean, rig, he's got a Leslie speaker going just to get that cool chorusing effect.
Gentry's got a photo album here or something.
There we go.
There you go.
That's us. Oh, shoot, we're getting crazy glare. Yeah, try to get closer.
Through the where's the hang on. So that's us playing in high school.
Look at
in
that.
The basement.
Same
Who's
guitar.
wearing the cowboy hat?
That's Gentry.
That's Garth.
Wow.
Let's see.
Chorus.
Those choir concerts I talked about, playing guitar. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
So
There you go.
there's that. Let's see.
That's
what
funny.
else we got?
There we are in girls' t-shirts.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Still got a cowboy hat on, though.
I went through phases. But yeah.
It was after the Weinigers gig.
That
top one.
That was.
It was all sunburned because we were standing out in the sun for like 3 hours playing guitar, and we're dumb high school kids with no sunscreen on.
Right.
And that's your dad.
What's that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that does look like his dad. Yeah.
That's funny.
But you're seeing my reflection of my Frank Zappa poster as well.
Now that's music to my beat.